Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Drama Saturday, end of May. Can you hear me, cheekbones? We are live and on air.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, I hear you very well, too. Happy Saturday, everybody. Like I said, it's Drama Saturday. Seems like it's all going down today.
It's crazy.
It is absolutely very interesting. So I I have a lot of thoughts. Hi, everybody. Let me just say hi to everybody. And then and then I'm gonna let you just kind of say something real quick. I just realized my glasses are dirty. Outside washing Junebug and stuff. And we'll just kind of get into this because I think kind of, from my perspective, as somebody trained to be a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, we're going to look very quickly at this part, Cheekbones, you and I, where she picks up and takes the kitten and just kind of like the issue around that, particularly in another country where there obviously are very distinct laws around things. And the laws actually make a lot of sense to me. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go through her video. That these are all her deleted videos. And I tried to find that Paul's Kuwait Instagram page, but I just seem to be unable to locate it. I don't know why, because I wanted to bring up the message. But I think Barbecue Chilling, or there's a bunch of channels that have it, so we can always cruise over to somebody else's channel and check it out and just kind of see, and then just kind of see where she's at. I know she's probably trying to find the first flight out of Kuwait. But I don't know if she's going to be able to leave or not. I don't know.
I don't know.
And if she did, she'd definitely get blacklisted.
Yeah.
While I'm reading.
She's, this is probably the only time in her life that her absolute horrid health will help her. Because I think if it came to incarceration, that the cost medically to keep her, they're not going to do it. They'll just send her back to Canada.
Well, from what I can read is deportation, and then obviously not being permitted to return ever back to Kuwait.
Yeah.
But she may still potentially be fined, or they may even start to look further, just, kind of in my estimation, a little further into Foodie's background. So anyway, let's just say hi to everyone real quick, and then we'll just kind of get to like what's happening. A lot of people may know, but some of you who may be coming over from Tim's content, you may not be familiar with everything that's happening with Catgate at the moment. Gate. I mean, just anyway, it's about time. She got some consequences potentially. Yeah. I'm hoping that she's unable to find a flight out of Kuwait. I'm hoping that they have some type of database where her name is being held.
I think it's all going to depend on when they can get the actual charges like filed. Because they were talking about something about Monday, doing it Monday.
Correct.
And so I don't know. And if they don't flag her passport, if she just got the heck
well, that's
out of
why
Dodge.
I don't know if they don't have an emergency that they can do that under until this gets correctly filed, Yeah. And as we know, and I was saying this to Cheekbones, a lot of times in countries, it's about who you know and how much are you willing to bribe. And I don't see that Salah at this point is wanting to stick his neck out for Chantal.
No.
Because he could be implicated along with this. And he would then be up for more of a penalty. Because
if they start digging around on him and the stuff that he's done, that's something that he don't want that trouble. He don't want that smoke. He needs to just,
Yeah, so anyway, let me say, hey, Pat, come on in. Talahu, come on in. Yeah, we're actually going to look at this because a lot of people do not believe that Chantal could have oppositional defiant disorder at this age, but it is in adults too. It just can start in childhood.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very good representation, just in my opinion and for education purposes only. As a case study as somebody really showing some potential oppositional defiant disorder traits, which is listed within the DSM-5 within text revision. It is diagnostic criteria F9 1.3. And it has some very interesting things of primary parts of it. But yes, it's not just children. It can be adults, and it just has to be something that lasting at least 6 months. And I think Chantel has evidenced it for at least probably 36 years.
Well, I've seen in some of the chats, and now the whole psychological thing, that is your sandbox, not mine. But I've seen that people were saying, "Oh, you cannot have the oppositional defiance as an adult."
That's not true.
Yeah.
Actually, the DSM-5 does state it just starts in childhood. It does actually state that part of the development and course is that manifestations of the disorder. This is page 524 of the DSM-5. Okay, so this is how we, as psychiatrists, would begin to look at somebody. Now, I can let you know if you want to, and obviously everybody, hello, all the mods and everybody. But there's 3 primary areas of oppositional defiant disorder. One is angry and irritable mood. And that is often loses temper, is often touchy or easily annoyed, and is often angry and resentful. I think we see all of that. The second one is argumentative, defiant behavior. And this is often argues with authority figures, and for children and adolescents with adults. So you, as an adult, would be the one arguing with the authority figures, as is Chantel sort of against the Kuwait authorities, you know, or even Salah is in some ways, because he's the person who has more knowledge of Kuwait. And then if you're a child or an adolescent, you're going to be doing that with adults. You know, that's who's going to be your person you're going to be trying to have your arguments with. Often actively defies or refuses to comply with requests from authority figures or with rules. And I think this video where she gets very upset, we're going to look at that. Really, we're just going to watch when she nabs the cat. And then we're going to go into the longer video, because I'm live streaming. Tim is celebrating 6 years on YouTube today. And yesterday put out 14 videos.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
What? How do you have time to do that?
Well, I managed to put out 5 to my members only today.
Well, that's different.
Well, that's exactly what he does. He just films stuff while he talks in the call, edits nothing, and uploads it with no thumbnail, which is exactly what I did. So I had 5 videos uploaded to my members only for the good life. You can check out my morning today, guys. I had 5 up by noon, if you do it that way.
Well, but that's something you do for your members. But I mean,
but this is his content. I did that as my members, so obviously I'm not going to ruin my algorithm. Chantel already ruins my algorithm. And I don't care. I do this stuff for fun. Obviously, I'm not getting rich on YouTube. We know that. As much as she thinks we all. And anyway, so the next one is she often active. Okay, I talked about that one. Often deliberately annoys others. And I think she loves to poke at girl world. And the thing she says about winning is fascinating. And I think as an RD, it comes into it, because obviously there's a lot of things that food disorders that are a big part of the DSM-5. So I think that really as RDs, you guys are really deep in this, more than you realize. And then the last part, often blames others for her mistakes and misbehavior.
Check.
And then lastly, vindictiveness. Has been spiteful or vindictive at least twice within the past 6 months. And I think some of hers is just beyond adulthood. Now, they also have, this is like That's part A. Part B is the disturbance in behaviors associated with distress in the individual. Now look at the distress that we're going to see this afternoon. She actually does have some visible distress when she realizes that she is now potentially going to be investigated, and she literally probably doesn't have a ton of money and is packing everything up and trying to flee the country as fast as possible with no backup plan.
Yeah.
That's her only solution. She's not going to stay and face any consequence because Chantel is not somebody to face consequences, which really she should.
Yeah.
She should be officially deported. But if she flees in that respect and they open an investigation, she's probably will be blacklisted. She'll never be back in Kuwait again.
Yeah. Well, you know, like what I was saying with all of Salah's questionable behaviors and stuff that he does, there was that, I don't know if you remember, there was something with that telegraph where she had that other woman's picture up, but it was her phone number and her, I think it was Chantal Al-Rafay or something like that. And people were theorizing that it was some kind of scam on men. So, if they start digging on all the stuff that she's done or possibly, involved in, it can be a lot deeper than some grifting.
Well, she's in a country where laws are very much respected and adhered to. And I think that she is not understanding that unless she really is very wealthy, she is not going to be above the law. Unless she can bribe someone. Because I lived in countries where bribery was a very big part of the social thing. And it's not anything negative. It's just bartering and bribing officials was just part of the fabric of that country at the time when I lived there. Yeah. And so I was very accustomed to anything needing to be done in a public, government way. It was going to come with like some type of multa or jesco or, some type of offer of a food blender. We never actually used those words. Jesco with the police. I mean, I literally had the police teach me how to bribe them on a traffic stop once. I'm not joking.
Well, and I'm sure in those lot of countries, and even in the U.S., bribing is probably part of the culture, but I don't know where they'll draw the line. And like you said, the amount of money that it would take to get this all to go away, I don't think so. And then there's his family, and he's Syrian. He's not a Kuwaiti citizen. So, it's just bad. But
I think that's why he was probably telling her to get offline, because he doesn't want any more, because he is also implicated in this video, I believe. I think he's with her in this.
Absolutely.
So that would be individuals, which was the words that I read in that Instagram post.
Yeah.
Which would implicate Salah was being told this financial scam. So the last part of this oppositional defiant disorder is the behavior that one, it negatively, for B, it impacts negatively on social, educational, occupational, other important areas of functioning. I think that a lot of Chantel's behaviors do go against her being able to operate well in society. And then obviously, this, like I said, this is just for educational information purposes only. The behaviors do not occur exclusively during the course of a psychotic, substance use, depressive, or bipolar disorder. So, they, are not happening exclusively during these other things, because a lot of times you can have comorbid conditions going along, you can have depressive and bipolar disorders, you can have intermittent explosive disorders, you can have other types of disorders along with these disorders, and these are disorders which is we see more in adults, which is why when people say it's not just children, no, it starts in childhood. So those who are going to have these disorders are starting to express this in childhood, in adolescence.
Yeah.
But in adulthood, it says manifestations of a disorder across developmental appear consistent. Children and adolescents with oppositional defiant disorder are at increased risk for a number of problems and adjustments as adults, including functional impairments, e.g. And then it just says that it did go on to say that there are adults, and that means that they're just going to go along to have the persistence of oppositional defiance disorder and other psychopathological, such as antisocial behavior, impulse control problems, substance misuse, anxiety, and depression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as somebody who had this in childhood, which we understand Chantel might have had some behavioral issues as a child that she's at least verbalized, then this would start to still persist as an adult, but along with many other types of things, which she talks about, depression and all of these other things, which I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts so far?
Well, Sam asked, and happy birthday, Sam, by the way. I meant to tell you happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, everyone.
Is he there elite? No, he's there. He's a resident, but he's not a citizen of Kuwait. He is Syrian, and I believe, which I've heard, I don't have statistics, but like Kuwait's the deport capital of the world. They will ship you out of there. So that's why I said it puts him at risk, and probably his family. They're not Kuwaiti citizens; they're residents also. So
his family, I think, has more ties to the society there and have more opportunity to know people in order to kind of pay their way out of any problems.
Yeah.
I think they have that opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to take Chantel as part of the baggage with it, though. I think that she has to be cut loose. I think that would be part of now a bargaining chip that Salar's family, if they do not really want him, I have no idea. I don't know these people, but if they did find that she was somebody that they did not want to have in their son's life, I think this would be a good time to use a bargaining chip.
Yeah.
To say that they would make sure he's okay, but he can't, they're not going to protect her.
Yeah. Well, all of us with common sense are kind of, and as those of us are parents, you're like, I would kick the door in and no, this wouldn't happen. But I know he's an adult and all that, but my understanding of, the Arab culture is that that family, the father, the son, making them proud, that's real prevalent and important.
Right. Not as much as the female carrying the honor of the family, because a friend of mine came from a Muslim. I am not Muslim. I am not a Muslim, Risa. I've only had, many friends, obviously, in the UK who were Muslims, because it was just part of growing up in the UK. You would know people from those religious groups, religious followings,
Yeah.
I'm like such a Church of England. I'm terrible. Hey, Pat Ray says she will need to leave the country in a few weeks. The Kuwait could simply not let her back in. I think she would have to leave now, because if they start that criminal investigation, she would have to stay until it was completed. She would not have the option to just leave. They would probably have the attorneys seize, or somebody seize her passport, so she could not leave until the matter was settled. And I mean, like I said, this is if she had to go without any type of way to bribe her way out of it. So any way out. If they really are starting, from what I can understand, because I looked up some stuff about, obviously, like anybody else, you can just Google Kuwait criminal investigations, and I was trying for foreigners. I think I was looking at, I found some page, investigation department, and I think it was for foreigners. And then we'll look at this video real quick, because I have to keep an eye on the tab. Just because I need to, let me see. Can I, here we are. Let me see. So I was trying to find out what they would do for Kuwait detention, and if you had any type of criminal investigation taking place. And from what I could find out from foreigners, that they really are going to like probably potentially deport you for any type of crime.
Yeah.
And then if you were a national, I think there was obviously potentially like a payment of a fine of some sort. Here we go. Let me see what this was about. They just say, yeah, they are the deportation capital of the world. A lot of people deported from Kuwait. They definitely don't mess. I think that's why she looks so panicked. So let's get over here and look at this kitten real fast. Let's go and take a look. So I wanted to thank the channel Loony, I think it was Loony Foodie Tubes or something it's called. Foodie Beauty. That was the name of the channel.
Yeah, okay.
And so I did leave the links down below. I think they sped up her voice a little bit, but that's okay. So we're just going to watch the first part of this one. We're not going to watch this whole entire hour live stream, don't you worry. I think everyone's potentially seen it. If not, if you want to watch the rest of this video. So just to catch everybody up, if you aren't familiar with the story, Chantal is a Canadian who has been living in Kuwait for the past, how many years now? Is it 3?
November will be 3.
November will be 3 years. And Chantal is somebody who certainly exhibits a number of different mental health disorders, in my professional opinion. I'm not obviously fully licensed as a mental health nurse practitioner, only a good way through grad school. I have taken all my pathology classes and prescribing classes and advanced pharmacology and all of my classes for like treatments and guidelines and so forth. So the only part that I'm missing is obviously the clinical and just taking my boards. So I'm getting closer and closer. But obviously we know that even listening to that sort of development of the course of oppositional defiant disorder in adulthood, it covered quite a few things that it seems that Chantal has, especially along potentially having eating disorders. Would you agree with that, cheekbones?
Oh yeah. Well, like the other night in the live stream, I just mentioned that I think she's defiant with herself, with her eating. It's an internal dialogue, and by no means I have no psychology. I'm a dietitian, but the overeating and the she knows it's not good, but she's going to do it anyway because she wants to do it, which is part of that defiance. That's kind of how I look at it as a dietitian, that she has this internal struggle and we all do. We all would love to just cram it all down the pie hole, but, different things, our health, our weight, different factors keep us from doing that. But I think it's with her, she just has this internal struggle. And it's, that she's going to win.
Right.
Even with herself, I'm going to eat this.
Right. And there's almost a little bit of that oppositional defiance disorder, even with her eating, because she knows it's not good for her.
Well, it's the diabetes.
She has all sorts of different medical conditions. And regardless of that, it's like the authority in this respect are medical professionals, people like yourself, because I know you reached out to her, cheekbones, and tried to help her.
Sure did.
Some time back. For those of you who aren't familiar, maybe coming to this through Tim, I'm joining Girl World and Tim World together because they need to be one and all the same. But yeah, basically, Cheekbones reached out to Foodie to try to give her some help with her diet, and she really doesn't care. She's far in her addiction. And for whatever reason, I think sometimes I feel that she tries to eat to say, screw all of you. And I don't know who's getting hurt other than herself, but I feel that she thinks she's hurting other people by her doing this behavior. And it just seems and yet she's only hurting herself. But so it seems to me, but that's part of this type of thing that would have me lead to believe that she's, somebody who has persistently had this disorder and has not really sought to have any real treatment around trying to manage or control it.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just the eating. I'm talking about the, since childhood, it's somehow it's been very poorly managed. to this person who's taking kittens off a street in Kuwait.
Chelsea asked, do we think that she'll have some type of punishment? I think it will be something. Now, what if it's pay the fine, get out, or, pay a fine and you go into the hooskow? I don't know. But
Right.
there probably will be some type of punishment.
I would
And
say,
even
from everything I read with foreigners, deportation is what happens.
Yeah.
They will deport you, which gives you other ramifications, because obviously you will be blacklisted from return to that country.
Yeah.
You will not be able to go back to Kuwait ever again.
And from what I understand, this law came in effect in May the 10th. Right. So all those live streams she did, grifting to pay me to go do this, pay me to go do that. That may also fall under this. So it may be
I think
multiple.
that they really do not want people doing literally what she's doing, which is asking for money for a cause. And in reality, the majority of those monies are going to her pocket for her food or living or whatever. And it really isn't going to take care of those animals. I think that they are not wanting to have the e-begging, the TikTok scamming, the dry begging. They definitely don't want any of this going down. This is Chantel.
I simply asked. I said, I wish I could have that dry begging. Well, I mean, you know what that is.
And she is the queen of trying to dry beg to care for these cats.
Yeah, well, because and we'll probably see it in the fall apart clip where she says, I can't even ask for help to get home.
Well, that's nobody else's problem.
Well, you've got a return ticket because you're a tourist.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You got that. So
she has it.
Yeah. So why is it anybody's responsibility other than your own to get yourself home?
It isn't. And it's becoming an absolute epidemic online. Sarasota Tim feels that he is somebody who is needing to get donations. Now, yes, have I received donations? Absolutely. My biggest donations came to my legal defense fund, of which went to the attorney. Attorneys are not cheap.
You're not. Yeah, I know that.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it really was to be able to protect the ability as a small creator to be able to make reaction and commentary around very problematic people on the internet, including this person who's openly defying laws in another country. How rude can you be? It's not your country.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure she'll make the argument, she was grifting for the money to take the cat to the vet and then said, well, I used the money for the vet. That was not a vet's office. That was like a pharmacy warehouse.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy may have been a pharmacy tech. I don't know. But so even that, she didn't take him to a vet. Right.
No, she did not. She is certainly not going to spend any type of it's so just and and everybody's a grown adult and everyone has a decision as to how they wish to send the money. You've sent me super chats before and I'm always very grateful for them. It does go to help, do things with Junebug and, but it's not much, I promise you. I work in healthcare. Now, are there creators who make a lot of money? Absolutely. Is Chantel one? Potentially not. She does try to grift a lot from her audience. And this is part of like that social behavior traits that are not really acceptable. So when you see these types of folks out here who, everybody has tough times, I can promise you. And it's how you manage, you have the opportunity to create content and make AdSense. And it's going to be around, are you adding any value to your audience? How do you make your audience feel at the end of the day? And it shouldn't be them feeling like they need to donate to you, especially not to this person, who's I mean, my ideal situation for her is she gets the 2,000 KD fine, which is about 9,000 Canadian dollars, which you cannot leave Kuwait until you pay off your debts.
Mm-hmm.
Where is she going to find $9,000 from? Salah is not going to give her back the $9,000 she sent him. Not in a million years. This person is going to try to move away from having any connection. I'm guessing she's not posted anything today, has she?
No, she's, and I don't
Scrambling.
think she's made other than that.
I guess we don't get to
post.
see this real life content. Hey, her scrambling to find a flight.
Yeah. Well, somebody said, I think
I'm glad I didn't wake up for that. That's my Saturday morning.
Well, I think there's a flight. I can't remember if somebody said today or tomorrow leaving. I think it goes to Doha and then to Montreal. But somebody had looked up flights. And,
well, they better hope it's available.
Yeah.
Especially with her type of probably return ticket. There could be restrictions on that travel.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
I said they have restrictions on that. Maybe she has to book it a certain amount of time ahead, or she has to pay because extra.
Yeah,
So she can't just use a return flight for an immediate return. Those aren't cheap flights.
I think she has even said that, to expedite her flight, that, it costs more money, which is
absolutely
what I have found anyway.
Absolutely. And most of us have flown international, and we all know that to be the case. That's part of the reason why she's probably grifting for money again. Girl, you're going to get yourself in trouble. You're sitting in a foreign country, and you're supposedly working as a content creator. You don't pay tax in Kuwait, Chantal. That's pretty bad. Well,
then there's
no papers, nothing.
There's the whole argument about was she legally working there? She didn't have a permit, or and I don't know how that goes with her being Canadian and the YouTube thing, but that's another thing to kind of consider, that she was doing, but not just her behavior and the grifting, but should she have even been there working? Doing
absolutely not legally. Without paying taxes. I don't think that would be allowed.
Well, I'm sure, and if there's any of my little Canadians here, they're probably like the IRS. They gonna get their money. So she may not be paying the taxes, to their. I guess they don't take them out because they consider them. You probably know that, independent contractors, but
correct. But they do report it.
Yeah, they're gonna get their money.
Right. So. It's even though you get a 1099, that 1099 is still reported to the IRS.
Yeah. So
they don't have to pay taxes on that money.
Yeah.
So they're gonna Google's gonna report you.
Yeah.
And and it's hard to change your location, actually, from what I can gather. It's not very easy for her to suddenly. She would to make her pay location or whatever it is on your Google account into Kuwait. So she's kind of
done that one time. She changed it to Kuwait, and
but she can say her location. But I'm talking about for deeper into Google AdSense payment.
Well, I don't know nothing.
Not
about
location on your YouTube page. I'm talking about literally within the AdSense. It's a lot more complex than that. But I know within Kuwait, they probably want their tax money though. I don't even know if they want these social media influencers sitting out there like this.
Well, I mean, I didn't think
a Muslim. I'm sorry, everybody. She is.
Well,
This is not somebody who's a serious Muslim reaver, in my professional opinion. Well, in my opinion, this is somebody who cosplays as this in order to be able to get out of a certain amount of criticism for her behaviors.
I think it's
an absolute psychopathy.
Yeah, I think she definitely uses it as a shield, that it would protect her, because, and I'm Christian, I'm not Muslim, but my understanding of the faith is that they're very non-judgmental.
Yes, they are.
Fellow
very
Muslims.
Kind people on the whole, which is why it's so easy to revert to becoming a Muslim. It's not like Catholicism where you have to go through all sorts of shenanigans to become a Catholic or Jewish or something else. To convert to another religion, but they're in their mind, everybody's a Muslim just waiting to be reverted. So It's a very different mindset, you know, and she takes advantage of it. She takes advantage of a lot of stuff. She's taken advantage of the system in Canada for years too. When she lost a job, which, you know, she really was the reason for her job loss. And then she turned around. I mean, she's used to flipping the script and using her, you know, suddenly using her size and using that as a disability in order for her to not have any consequences for her actions.
Or her mental. She uses the weight or her mentals.
Well, the mental just... people would assume you would have that if they look at her at that size, because it's not normal to be that size.
No. No.
That's why these people have to go through it. And I'm sorry if that feels hard to, you know, hear from a medical professional.
But it's the truth.
But, you know, unfortunately, it is an eating, you know, disordered eating that this individual does have.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not, and she is exceptionally large.
Yes. Sam, yeah, she does. She owes, I don't know how much in back taxes to Canada.
Oh, I heard last time it was about 30,000, and who knows how much she's paying on it. I doubt. I don't know if it has interest rate like the IRS does, but if it does, she'd be SOL.
Well, I remember at one time back in the villa, and this is just a memory, that back then she was estimating...
No, I'm not talking now about the charitable donations. I'm talking about her YouTube income. Would that be open to having taxes paid in Kuwait, since she's making the content and working in Kuwait? Otherwise, is Kuwait like is that why we all need to work in Kuwait, so we don't have any taxes? I don't know if that's the case.
Well, Kuwait itself doesn't
I don't know.
have...
Is that what it is? The Kuwait does not collect income tax. Okay,
Yeah.
so Paris does. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Well,
But
should we say that then?
She still owes Canada taxes.
Yeah, but I think there's something about still her needing a work permit to work there. She's still working there, whether they want income tax or not.
Yeah.
And I think she would still require a work permit. And especially like her as a social media influencer, I don't think they're like keen on that. Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. That's what, from my understanding, that may be an issue, that she was illegally working there.
Yes. All right. Let's take a look at her stealing the cat real fast. And then we'll move on to her having like a sense of like, oh, I might have consequences for my actions, which I think she doesn't like that idea at all.
Oh my God. Babe, we have to take her.
Yeah.
She's so small. I don't know. Hi, kitty. Hi. Oh. Hello, would you like some water? Oh.
What if these cats
Does she look like she still needs to be titty fed? Oh gosh, she's so skinny. Oh,
I can't stand the language she uses.
I agree.
And she's yeah.
It's to me, this is my personal... She so sexualizes Julia. I mean, the video and filming the cat getting its rear end shaved. I mean, why do that? And she always talks about the cat's bum and, you know, the titty feeding. And I don't know. It's just bizarre to me.
Well, I think it's really just a performative action, because her actual care of her own animal in the home seems to be quite negligent, in my opinion. If she's saying the cat is having, you know, poop around the house and stuff, these are all behavioral issues the animal's expressing, and obviously all to do with the cat either not feeling well or feeling confined or not feeling clean. And Chantel is incapable of thinking of anything outside of herself. She really is. She's a very selfish, self-centered. So, I mean, very much having narcissistic personality traits along with it. Absolutely. I mean, you can have multiple comorbidities when it comes to these types of different disorders.
Yeah.
You can be in having antisocial personality disorders and having those types of, negative personality disorders, and still have these oppositional defiant type personality disorders and eating disorders and every other type of disorder.
just look or pictures in the book. That's all.
Yeah, this is somebody that is a nightmare in therapy.
Yeah. Golly.
They don't stay, which is something that we've seen her do. Is one time and gone, and that's notorious. So no therapist really likes working with these types of patients. All right, keep going, Chantel, so we can see you shed your tears for yourself.
Oh my God, you're so beautiful. She has ear mites bad. You see? Oh yeah, she has ear mites bad.
Right. Yeah, very good
Hi,
point,
sweetheart. Look at this. She's so funny.
Yeah, Big Squeezy made a very good point. The moment she couldn't play here anymore, she changed the narrative. She could play the victim, and Chantel loves being the victim.
That's spot on.
Very much. Oh, they buried the hamster on the beach. It's probably not allowed either, though.
No, it's not. It's illegal. And then left her trash there on the beach.
Oh, that's filthy.
Yeah.
I mean, why don't you get your... She is a 40-some-year-old woman with a very young sense of how she manages her life.
Well, with the thing, and nobody really talks. Nobody really talks about it, but when the hamster passed away, we all know the condition of the cage. She didn't clean the shavings, and she put the hamster, when it passed, in her freezer with her food in the freezer until she buried it on the beach. So she put a urine, feces covered rodent in the freezer with her food until they could get to the beach to bury it.
Well, now I do have to admit, I had inside of a plastic container and about 3 different bags my dog's poop that I had to take to her.
We know that that's not what she did. She probably just tossed them in there.
I had to have a feces sample, and you have to.
Ice, that you didn't put your dog in there till you could go bury it on the beach, in a shallow grave.
But I've known somebody to put a cat in the freezer, but they also suffer some schizophrenia. So I'm hoping that she doesn't have that. Had delusions or hallucinations without the influence of a substance that we're aware of. Any auditory, anyone talking to her? Pat says they left cooked bones from 15 pieces of chicken at the scene when they left with the kitten. Oh my God, extremely dangerous. See what a group of cats is waiting. Yeah, you should never let a chicken bone near an animal.
They just left all their trash there and just got up and left. Yeah.
I just find it, and the people that obviously defend her are just as fascinating as herself, because they obviously probably have oppositional defiance too. Like, no, everybody says this is not a good person. You know what? I think this person is a good person.
Yeah. It's, and I'll be honest, when I very first came into girl world, I found her through Shakara Transformations. I was like, oh man, everybody is so mean to this woman.
I probably didn't see your comment, Chelsea. You might have to pop it in again. Sorry, Chelsea. I'm kind of being slow on stuff. Sorry, Chelsea.
But, it didn't take me very long at all to, it has nothing to do with her weight. It's just she's just not a very nice human being.
No, she is not a particularly kind human being. Okay, let's hear her continue. That terrible use of that. I mean, girl, she's just, anyway. All right, we'll just give it a few moments because this is hard for me to watch somebody just be just somebody that I would just find very agitating to be around.
Hey, baby.
even as a
She's
mental
so
health
precious.
professional, we don't have to like
She doesn't want to
everything.
eat crunchies, so she's probably still being well fed.
I know.
She's very skinny. I don't know if we can afford another cat. That's yeah, it's a girl cat. Oh, make sure she doesn't jump off it. She's too small. Hold her. She's so friendly. She's so skinny.
See, now Salah is complicit in anything that she does. So he's complicit in the scamming donations and everything else. He's complicit.
Well, she says right there, oh, I don't know if we can afford another one.
I know, that's definitely
setting it up, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely getting into some of this stuff, isn't
Confidence
it?
trick.
No. I simply asked. I said, I wish I could have best dry begging. Well, I mean, you know what that is.
I mean, I don't know how wealthy her bees are, so but I doubt they're rolling in cash.
No, and there's not a lot of them. And like we talked about the other night, I mean, she is like ringing that bell all the time with multiple avenues. You know, and I think a lot of them are probably on a fixed income and think they're doing a good thing, and it's not.
Is this about the Kuwait pause people? I mean, I would certainly love to find out how you could actually do a real live stream. I don't think I could raise very much money on one of mine. But I mean, I would certainly, because it was too quick for that now, but I would certainly be open to doing a live stream, which I think there is a way to do it on YouTube where you can set it up to do like donations for charities. So maybe a local cat charity here or something, you know, and actually set it up so it actually, because I think then maybe YouTube doesn't take such a big chunk. I don't know. There's a way to do it because I've seen other creators do actually like fundraising live streams where everything that's raised goes to a specific charity and they set it up and they show it and, you know, they set a goal, you know, I've seen it before. And this is not what's happening in this time.
Yeah, no.
She's just taking Kitty. Okay, so Salah, go and pick up the cat.
Oh, baby. Look, she loves you. What are you doing?
It's a feral cat. My Lord.
Wanda, for the kitty, 50 US. Oh, thank you so much, Wanda. If we take her, will you guys help us? Like, for real?
There she goes. If we take her, will you guys help us for real? I don't like people trying to, you know, one thing is these channels that literally are really having shelters for animals on YouTube, you know, because there are some, and I watch them, you know, and they have like the dog shelters and, you know, and have probably legitimately set up, you know, 413 CBs or whatever they're called, whatever the charity status, you know. And I know there are channels that do that, but this is not Chantal. Chantal has a history of taking money from people for animals and then turning around and saying it's not for her animal.
Yeah, she's playing on the Beezer's emotions. But, you know, you're wanting money. Oh, if you cannot afford to take care of an animal on your own, you don't need to have the animal. What if her channel got needed? Then what? What would she do?
Right. It's one thing, like I said, running an actual charity to save a number of animals, you know, and running an actual like dog rescue or whatever. Yeah. And her asking for donations to pick up a stray cat off the street.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she did it with the cat food back months ago. I think people, over $60 to help feed the cats. She still has the same bag of cat food.
Right. That's not her doing it as a fully set up, properly organized live stream. Because I don't even know if YouTube has terms of service about just asking for these types of charitable donations without any real showing that this is where that money's going.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty much a grift and a scam.
I agree.
That's all this is.
Yeah.
She's misusing. I know I can't use that word, the A word. I wish I could. I should be able to, but I can't. And I promise you, Chantel, I do this because I love chatting with you about this.
Yeah.
So Chantel thinks this is, us all making money, So yeah, it's really sad. You need to, set it properly. Bruce Easy said she made over $600 in Super Chat alone and bought exactly 1 can of cat food with it. And she took $300 to have a cat fixed or something and never did anything with that money either. Except say, it's mine now. It's just really, and so it just surprises me that people would continue to give money to her, knowing full well it must be they just like their name out of her lips or something, because I cannot think of any other solid reason as to why somebody would give money to somebody who is obviously, unless they like to cause just drama with the people that react by getting all this money. And they're just people who are emotionally barren and need to get aligned with somebody who I guess has potentially behaviors that they feel akin to.
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting to meet these folks and really, I know Teardrops, whoever this person seems, from what I don't know these people, allegedly has not a great history with animals.
No, absolutely not.
And it's
horrible. I don't know, I hadn't watched it, but that Nicole Garrett, I think she had a channel and came out swinging on Are You Serious and stuff. I think Farrah Fiasco, I have not watched it, had come out with something that allegedly conspiracy, whatever. She has some animal abuse in her background.
I feel like they all have that, and that's why they're on board with this. Like, they're people that purport to be, animal lovers, but then when you kind of look at how they actually, it's like Amberlynn Reed, lost a cat, to go see some feeder girlfriend. Like, really? You're that irresponsible? Your animals mean so little to you?
Yeah.
So anyway, so she's here on a major grift.
What do you think, babe? No?
What if she, Julia fights her or something?
I don't think Julia would fight her. She was raised in a house with cats. Thank you, Wanda. Yes, I will help. Because honestly, like, we have.
Yeah, but you don't know if the cat has like feline flu. You don't know anything that the cat may have as a disease, Chantal.
Yeah.
And you're prepared to bring in that animal without full veterinary check into your home from the street. And that's not the way to do it. These types of situations are better handled through proper charitable channels a lot of times. I know there's cats that show up on people's farms and stuff or big yards. That's, people will get them fixed and vaccinated. And that's something that people choose to do. I live, unfortunately, in the condo area. It's not really a good thing. So I do, when I've had these situations with cats, I have to, call the animal control so at least they can care for them. And it's actually a no-kill shelter. And it's the place where I got June bugs from.
That's awesome.
So I feel pretty good. And they're right just like 2 minutes down the road. And I've actually had rented, traps literally and trapped the cats. And there was a mom cat and a bunch of kittens to get them over to get some proper care. You know? And so because I wasn't wealthy and I knew that they needed a lot more than I could provide for them. And I knew that the city would provide. So
we are not, it's really horrible and deplorable here in Hooterville, the animal control. You couldn't get animal control to come out. That's why my sister and I took care of so many cats through the years. Fostered them, got them as kittens. They were sick, paid the medical expenses, all their medical care, all that stuff. Is because if you called them and said, hey, I got this stray mama and some kittens here, they never would show up to pick them up.
Oh, no, it's very different here. Yeah. They have a lot of they're pretty good here in the city of Virginia Beach, I have to say.
That's great.
And it's actually, like I said, they have a really nice facility up there. So they're pretty kind. And as I said, my aunt used to do that, but the cost of I just took June bugs with all her medical stuff and it was not like it used to be. I think that's why it would have been, one single lady with a mortgage. So I did what I could do, which was, spend $50 and rent something so I could at least get the animal safely and get it over.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I had it for like a month, so I got a possum, all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah,
I wanted to get these animals taken care of, put somewhere properly, because being here, but at the condos down here at the beach, not a good place in this place.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kel, keep going. We get over to this other video where she's crying.
$50, thank you.
So
that would cover the vet visit. We will help.
Everyone, she's taking donations.
Because she probably has a mom, but the mom, but the cat feels starving. She feels hungry. I don't know what she would eat. Oh, you're my baby girl. Are you our new baby? This could be a community beezer. Isn't she sweet?
Yeah.
She's very skinny.
Oh, I mean, the cat is precious. I mean, obviously, you know, and I think any of us, but that's just what she's tugging on, is people's heartstrings.
Yeah. But she always, if Julia or this cat, if she's showing it affection, she's always looking in the camera at herself.
Yes, she is.
And that's just bizarre to me.
No, it's because the cat's a prop.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's a prop to get money. And she knows that there are a lot of people that very much care for animals.
Yeah.
And that they will give money to help care for them. And so it's a great prop. And it's one that she's been able to use successfully, you know, for some time now.
Yeah.
Well, we'll continue to use it until maybe now this might be the one time where she is taught a lesson. But if she flees out to Canada and doesn't really get any real repercussion for what happened in Kuwait, because her just going to Canada, I don't think that's enough of a repercussion, really, for somebody like Chantel to really learn a lesson. I think she would still be back to her old ways as fast as she possibly could. She'd definitely be grifting hard for money for an apartment then. You think it would be everybody else's, you know, she'll be angry at the world, I promise you. Her angry side would probably show up.
Yeah. Well,
but angry at everybody but herself.
But herself. And she'll shove Salah under the bus when if they kick her out and she can't go back and it's over with him, it will be, he was abusive, he took my passport, he made me wear the hijab. It'll be all of that because, like Boo Squeezy said, she'll be the victim.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, Ina says you believe it was planned. Them taking the cat was planned?
Yeah, that's...
Absolutely. Chantel, that I've understood, has been stalking and staking out these cats for quite some time. And just waiting for the right one to be able to seem probably, you know, a little bit friendlier. Because some of these things, they don't want to be near people. They tend to be pretty skittish.
Yeah.
And so she found one that was actually seemingly been fed by people and was quite friendly.
Yeah.
And so,
one that would show her unconditional love.
It's not even that. It's just a prop.
Well, but she
doesn't treat Julia very well.
No.
So, but I think in some ways you're right about she wants the cats to show her love and affection, but I think without her really being the owner that has, you know, the cat's unhappy, but she doesn't care.
Yeah. No.
You know, she's very open to bringing another cat for unhappiness into that. As long as, especially because if she can spend $50 to get $500, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. And
she's callous and calculating. There's nothing of any real, you know, beyond. She's very much that way.
Yeah.
So she's taking a cat. Let's get over to the next video because we're going to make sure we end this at 6 because I got to get some dinner before I go live with Tim. But so yeah, we see that she obviously, you know, here she goes. So she's asking, pretty much we can hear that she's asking for all of her financial donations, you know, and then we see that she's literally just going off with the cat here and probably still asking for, let's hear, and then we're, like I said, we're going to go to this next video. Poor cat looks petrified.
We saw a dead kitten the other day, okay? She's very skinny.
Salah, no, don't take the cat home. Please leave the cat. Salah, please, this is not right. that kitten is old enough to be without its mother.
It's very starving.
Poor Salah trying to make sense there.
Well, I have a lot of experience with cats. I can say that. I've had cats for over 50 years. That cat, for a street cat, does not look bad at all. I've taken care of far worse kittens than that.
Yeah, and it looks to be about probably 6 to 8 weeks old. So it's probably, it's still obviously going to be feeding off its mum, but it's definitely at an age it's not it's matured a little bit in its kitten years. It'd be probably close to being able to be weaned from its mother and sent to somebody's house to be raised at this point. It's looking about that age.
I don't know if it was Paul's the main thing that said it was 4 weeks old.
Oh, about 4 weeks is what they thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought.
I'm not a cat expert, obviously. It just looks like the size of kittens I used to have.
Yeah, that's what I thought that they had, the vet there had said.
Vet said 4 weeks. Well, I'm going with whatever the vet said. They probably can tell by the something with the teeth or something. I'm sure.
So she wasn't completely weaned.
Okay, so maybe that's part of what they see is. Yeah, I saw the kitten drinking the milk. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that cat's too young then. That's definitely too young. That's too young. Yeah, but the cat is in excellent condition. That mom has done a good job. Mm-hmm. And that's the other part. She's left the mother and this cat. I mean, it's just, I don't know what control Salah really has over this person. Obviously, because he's trying to talk sense to her, but I think the problem is then you need to tell her, I'm turning this stream off right this moment. You're putting the cat back. I'm not dealing with this.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he was like, the chat was begging him, don't do it, put it back. And she was like, don't listen to him. But the money starts coming in. So then he says, oh, we'll just take it to the vet, which wasn't a vet. And they said it cost $50. But could not provide a receipt or any type of documentation as to what they found or anything. So, I think when the money started rolling in, he was kind of like, and I think he had full intentions to return that cat, but he was going to get the money first and then take the cat back.
Right. Well, of course, because both of them are people who really don't have morals when it comes to getting money.
Yeah.
I mean, he's somebody who's hooked up with Chantel. You can't have a great deal of morals and have a look at Chantel. I'm just trying to see if she's put anything out. Let's see. Her last video was 2 days ago. And her last live was 2 days ago with Julia in her hand. So yeah, she's trying to, she's, which I'm sure she's hating because this was the last day of the month for her to make any money.
That's exactly
if she wanted to stir drama, well, she certainly did a great job for a lot of other channels.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
She's done a great job. All right, let's get over to the one where she starts crying because it's interesting to watch as somebody who works in mental health. Because she is not taking any, obviously, accountability here. And again, this is over at Loony Tubes, and this is a quick one. I think they have it sped up here. So we're just going to start looking at it. I think that, I don't think she'll still feel any consequence from this, potentially, especially if she just hightails it out to Canada. Don't think, like I said, I don't think that's going to give her enough of a wake-up call to anything. I think it will just actually fuel her personality traits.
You may be right.
Binging more?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If she gets to, her family enables her, and that's probably part of her problem. So if she has to go back to Canada, she'll stay with either her aunt or her mom, and they'll just be giving her money and she'll be right back. That's her coping. Now, I will say, though, since she will have access to marijuana and THC products, that I'm sure that it'll be a 50-50 with the food. I think that was a part of the problem in Kuwait was she didn't have those drugs to, as a coping mechanism. So it all just went to food.
Which is really good sometimes to see when you're coming from a psychiatric perspective, because one of the things that you do want to have a patient eliminate is any of their substance use. Now, obviously, she uses food as a type of coping mechanism, but we're talking like alcohol, any type of substance, like the types she partook in Canada. Some in Thailand. And that would kind of eschew how you would be able to look at somebody. But since I do get to kind of see her in the raw here, it gives you more of an ability to actually see those personality traits coming through without the sort of blurring of the drugs. So it's actually very good for us to, and from my perspective, to have in a place like Kuwait, where she's having to have forced sobriety.
Yeah. Well,
because I see her without the substances, so I get to see the behavioral actions. This one is just epic. All right, so let's get going and take a look. Let's see how she tries to defend herself.
My eyes. Okay. Did you see it moving? Do you ever get like a weird heartbeat in your eye? I'm ready to be used.
No. Do you?
Well, my eye might
twitch,
but I was looking at her eyeliner. I wasn't looking at her twitching.
She said, I guess her eye was twitching. I guess she was getting twitchy, but you could actually see it was like twitching. I think that's the messed up eye.
I was hypnotized by that liner.
Oh, you were hypnotized. I was watching that eye twitch. It's probably that diabetic retinopathy. You have all that mass. What you don't understand, Chantel, is that microvascularization actually grows and attaches itself to your retina and starts to actually pull on that retina. So that would not be surprising if you felt like pulsation going on there. So I would be very concerned.
It'll get a twitch in my eye, but in my eyelid, it'll twitch just once or twice.
Yeah, I think when we get tired, that tends to happen.
Yeah.
You get those tired eyes, so you start kind of twitching out a little bit. But hers, if it felt that way, I mean, that could be that microvascularization coming in through the diabetic retinopathy. Just just a potential diagnosis.
Yeah, potential.
All right, keep going, Chantel, because this is choice.
Not much.
Deleted, of course.
I didn't go live yesterday, so I thought I better go tonight. Swollen? Yeah. I know, it's weird. Eye twitches. Very strange. Hey, Nicole. No, I'm not. Salah's picking up gelato ice cream stuff, but I don't feel like having anything else.
Oh, she got to get a little treat in.
It's exhausting.
It's a good job she got those donations, because now she can get gelato ice cream.
She can get a Santa Fe chicken sandwich.
Yeah. I hope it was worth it.
Yeah.
I hope it absolutely was worth it, because watching her face change when she discovers this Instagram is, I don't know how she found that Instagram page. I seem to be the only person in the world incompetent of finding that Instagram page. I put in pause Kuwait was coming into all sorts of weird stuff, so I don't know. I need to know if anybody has the link to that actual Instagram, let me know. If not, Barbecue Chillin' has it on their page. I'm sure that we can find it somewhere. It's all over the place. I just don't have Twitter or anything. All right, keep going, Chantel.
I just feel blah.
Okay. Well, it's probably the ice cream.
The filter's weird. Whatever, I'm like natural bags under my eyes. Hey, Barbara. No, I wasn't crying. I've been beezing. I just did a fast job just to look more like, without any makeup, I'd probably look like dead. You're in a depression hole? Yeah, me too, ECP, honestly. I'm just like, I just feel really jaded and non-optimistic right now about stuff.
Oh.
Like,
that right.
I don't know. No, Anarol, I didn't just wake up. Honestly, seeing you guys helps, though, honestly.
Now, why was she upset at this point? Because I don't
fallout from the cat.
Okay, so this was just cat fallout.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that from like reaction channels or from her beezers or everybody?
From the reaction channels in the community as a whole.
Well, I mean, what did she expect? She has a history of using animals as props in order to scam people out of money. So it's no better than anybody saying they have cancer when they don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she was saving a near-death cat.
No.
Why do you have a problem with it?
But
the cat was almost just passed away. She was going to save it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what.
But she doesn't have a charity for animals. And it seems that Kuwait has laws about just taking animals off of streets and saying you're a charity.
Yeah.
That's not going to fly.
Mm-mm.
It's one thing, I guess, if you just, I don't know if they have a law against just picking animals up off the street or picking an animal up off the street and asking for financial donations. That I'm not sure. That, is it just a law about, picking up animals off the street if you aren't like an authorized animal charity or body caring for animals? Like official,
Well, I don't think it's a tourist.
I don't know, but
is
it like here where you could just see a stray cat and you could start, taking care of it, but I'm sure even here people would start having problems if you were doing that and kept asking people for money, but you weren't really getting a 403B status or whatever, if you weren't really a charitable institution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, people would want to see your accounting.
Well, even if, and we all know this, even if she had got the kitten and initially took it to the vet and got it properly cared for, that would have been the end of the care process. And I think, there's been a lot of comments about, well, it was a boy and she didn't want it. And I think the reason she didn't want a boy is because, when you get them neuter, you have to get them neutered because they will spray all over your house.
Oh,
so it wasn't like with Julia that they could take her and get her a shot or lock her up in a room and let it roll on for 2 years. It was going to have to be done. So I think that's part of why she didn't want the boy cat.
Yeah. Oh, so you think she might have even then changed her mind about which cat it was? Yeah, because she thought it was a female initially.
Yeah, she did. And I mean, you can see her face when Salah says, no, it's a boy. I mean, her face, it just like the color drains.
Right, because now she's like, oh my gosh, I might have to spend money having them neutered fast. Yeah. She doesn't want to spend money on these animals.
Yeah.
All right, Chantel, keep going.
What is there not to be optimistic about? I feel like every day I hate people more and more. That's just honestly how I feel.
Yes, it is less expensive.
And I blame the internet for that. And I blame myself for exposing myself to the internet. But then I come on here and I talk to you lovely people. And it gives me a bit of hope.
Okay. I wish I could find that.
You'll never make people happy no matter what you do. Yeah, I'm not trying to. It's just I don't know how to explain how I feel. I just feel grossed out. That's all. Oh. and just down.
What is she feeling grossed out about exactly?
About everybody being upset about the cat. And apparently she doesn't elaborate about who it was or what entity it was, but that they were told to put the cat back by somebody. She doesn't say who it is, but she was told to return the cat. And it had an air of maybe something legal. You know, I don't know if it was the paws of Kuwait or if it was I don't know, or a family friend or somebody. I don't know. She just
maybe the attorney reached out to her and said, you need to return the cat, and we're filing legal. Well, she didn't know about it until she saw the message. So I wonder who it would have been somebody who didn't know that they were going to start to file legal action against her. Because doesn't she find out about the legal action during this video?
Yes. Yeah, but
maybe it was somebody
down because they
in Salal's family who was like, you guys need to take that cat back.
Who knows? Catherine's right. She made it sound very soprano, like we were warned that we had to take the cat back. You know, and then she flipped it that it's all Reaction Channel's fault that this kitten is gonna pass away. It's all our fault. Or I'm not a Reaction Channel, but Girl World, whatever. It's all our fault. Because I was like, no, it's not my fault. But that was, so she was just, you know, down because, and maybe it was some kind of legal entity, so far as law enforcement or whatever, because, you know, she insinuates that, you know, we had to do it and that like Girl World turned her in, you know. Made complaints, you know. It's always, even with the Paws of Kuwait, she'll say in this that it's all of us haters contacting them.
Well, if you're doing objectionable things online, you're going to have to anticipate that people will report you.
Well, I think the whole thing was
anticipate that you can have actions that are harmful to a living creature and assume that people's reaction to that is to give you grace to have these behaviors, I think is not something that is very, you know, I think that's very immature of her.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extremely immature. I mean, she should be prepared. I mean, you can't be adult.
And it may have just been like my theory was that Salal took it to get the money, and then he had full intentions of taking it back the next day and probably told her, I'm taking this cat back. We're not keeping this cat, but we've got $500, $600, $700 in donations. So, you know, that's a good thing. We made some coin. So
right. Like once she found out it was a boy and she had to like somehow, I have no idea who those people could be, but I just know that, you know, whatever this is, these two have no morals.
Well, you never can believe a word she says, so, you know, you just kind of have to draw your own conclusions.
Right. Rule number one. So I wondered sometimes watching this reaction, is this really me watching something that's true? But she deleted it. So she obviously didn't make any money from it. So, but she wanted to initially. All right, keep going, Chantel.
Let's celebrate our wins this week. Fuck everyone else's. F everyone else. Yeah, true. Good idea, ECP.
I can drive back just like Chantel.
How is Bruce? I have no idea, Kristen. Honestly, I can't find him. So if he were in my apartment, that would be a different story. I could keep eyes on him, right? People have chance to just know what's happening. Yeah, I don't just mean myself. I just mean in general. Like, I don't know. You ever just scroll social media and you get grossed out by the negative stuff, and then people who are like overly positive, you get grossed out by that too? Like, just nothing makes you happy. Nothing. I'm in one of those moods, you know. I know it'll
pass, but what do you think?
Well, first, I wouldn't be putting that hand up in front of the camera. My Lord Jesus. I wouldn't put that hand up in view. No, don't do that. That hand looks bad.
I know. It's a perfect
well,
pause story for her.
well, I'm sure she doesn't like anybody that's overly happy or happy, period. You know.
Well, right, because she's definitely the misery loves company, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Channel.
Yeah.
I don't know where any of her audience thinks that her just shaking her arms in the air, going, ready, set, please, is the most thrilling thing that they're going to get all day.
Yeah.
I guess that's just an invitation to gluttony.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you guys can feel okay. And I know that people, you know, why do people react? Because this person has got some real serious, you know, issues, and she doesn't seem to want to understand what consequences could be.
Yeah. Well, you know that she's in such denial, like with BBJ. You know, there's documentation on that cat's. We all saw it for years. And it wasn't like she was working at McDonald's and barely making, you know, she was making $20,000 a month and couldn't be bothered to get the cat appropriate care that she could well afford. People donated, she didn't do. But that she's so in denial and tries to flip the script and rewrite it is just amazing to me. There's documentation of the health of that cat that was, you know, renal issues. It happens in older cats, but there's things you can do to alleviate it along the way.
Absolutely. And there's diets that they're recommended to consume. There's also some stuff.
You know, I lost my big kitty, is what I called her. She was 18 years old on Thanksgiving, and it was renal that got her. And, you know, I cannot tell you the money and the things I did to at least make her comfortable. You know?
I've had a dog with diabetes and trying to give it like a quarter of a unit of insulin.
Yeah, insulin. Yeah.
You know, I mean, taking it to the university when I had nothing really. I was broke in Mexico. I really didn't have a lot of money. What money I had, I was spending on that dog. And I recently got, like I said, tapped out, you know. And today, Junebug, just before even I went live today, it's not to say that we're better people than anybody, but I think that, you know, the difference is, you know, yes, I have little Junebug badges and stuff, and Junebug is obviously my little side character, I guess, because she is my baby girl. But, you know, I'm not going to hopefully exploit her to the effect that it's being used to manipulate anybody here in this audience, you know? Obviously, you know, people ask me about Junebug, and again, on my more members only content, I share more of Junebug, you know? But I think that's probably where the community is finding its core value, is that the people in Girl will genuinely, on the whole, really care about animals. And the reason why there is such a dislike and distrust and disregard for this particular individual is because of her documented and long history of mistreatment of her own companion animals.
Absolutely. It just, you know, if she just caught to it and said, you know, I'm sorry, my mentals, blah, 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 you're right, I should have done this, I didn't, I apologize. But I mean, she just digs in harder and harder. That, you know,
because she is opposition. She's that exactly everything in that defiant disorder that I described. The more you say it, and Girl World to her in some way is kind of an authority figure on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that call her out on her behaviors. And she gets more and more like, no. And YouTube, sadly, rewarded her for her bad behavior. So she just persistently, unfortunately, as much as people try to say, no, this is not something that in society is beneficial. She does things that negatively impact around and impact negatively animals in her care.
Yeah.
And then she uses them as little props.
Yeah.
To get money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And pull on the heartstrings of people and to say, no, really, in reality, I'm a good person. Because look, if I wasn't a good person, I wouldn't have a pet. That makes
My
me
pet wouldn't love me. Yeah.
Right. Right. And then it's, of course, she probably does need that sort of validation from the animal too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right. And then when they're not validating her enough, then she probably starts potentially ignoring, mistreating them. And that is just kind of a cyclical thing with her,
Yeah.
So the animal gets less and less care and becomes less wanting to be around her, because an animal isn't going to want to be around that owner if
Yeah.
they're not being really properly cared for.
Mm-hmm.
These are relationships that you build. These are sentient creatures with
Mm-hmm.
an ability to have a thought about stuff and emotions, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just before I went live today, I gave Junebug a walk and a bath, because she has to get this special bath treatment every week.
Yeah.
And, because she was a dog that wasn't raised having baths. And so it was very difficult for me to bathe her. And obviously she's kind of a bit of a breed that you don't really want to make them do stuff they don't want to do. And now she does let me do it. It's a bit of a struggle. I did actually film some video from last week on Dad. Anyway, but yeah, we were having to do that. Hey, don't mess with that foot, girl. All right. So, all right, keep going, Chantel.
Yeah. Just, sometimes.
Yeah, they probably are.
Yeah,
that's it.
They are.
The vet won't keep them.
Well,
At least that one. I don't know. I don't know about another one, but now I can't find him. And I haven't heard back from the organization I reached out to as to whether they had him or not. I gave them all the information. So, yeah, I have a lot to celebrate. It's not that. It's not. I'm not grateful for my life. It has nothing to do with that. I don't know.
Junebug is highly allergic to chicken. All right, keep going about this. Is she talking about Paws of Kuwait? I need to concentrate on Chantel's talk, unfortunately. What is she talking about at this point?
Was saying that she had never, basically, she was going to go back when they put the kitten back 2 times a day and give it its antibiotic, even though it's a feral cat in a park. Anyway,
she can't even manage her own medication regimen. How
absolutely.
would she manage a cat's regimen and do something where she had to leave her house twice a day? Unless there was a freaking Santa Fe chicken burger right there at the end of every time that cat she showed up for that cat. Somebody had a burger there for her. That girl not heading out the door like that twice a day.
Well, she was saying that I guess they had went back and couldn't find the kitten, and that the Paws of Kuwait had not gotten back in touch with her about the kitten. She had sent all the information.
She's not calling any organization.
She's not doing anything.
She doesn't want anybody, Paws of Kuwait, knowing that she's out there doing anything.
No. But that's what she's saying. She goes, I haven't heard anything back from them. I've sent them all the information about, like, I guess where the kitten was. And, but when this whole thing started, she said, oh, it doesn't have a mother. The mother's run off. But you go back, oh yeah, we took the kitten back to its mother.
Well,
so the mother was gone. You said the mother was gone. Why would you bring a defenseless little kitten back to where?
Compulsive liar.
Yeah,
pathology.
Yeah, she can't keep up with it, and so none of it made sense.
No, because she's, her stories are grifted along the way.
Mm-hmm.
As she gets caught in her lies, she got to come up with another lie.
Yeah.
There's a perpetual, cascade of lies.
Mm-hmm.
Very untruthful individual, in my opinion.
Rule number 1. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Rule number 1, and are we being harsh? No, I think a lot of people do not feel that this sort of individual should even be rewarded by Google with a platform. But they'll continue because they don't care, because they make money. They don't care.
True that.
Only people that can care are the audience and the community, of which I have a fantastic community. Mm-hmm. Some who watch me for my Chantel, which I've come back because, Her mental health is so out the wazoo at the moment. I'm fascinated again.
Yes.
Watching her just eat and take out her kidneys, I mean, is not fun sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But this, she might actually have enough anxiety that she goes off her food for a couple of days.
Yeah. Sure.
Keep going, Chantel. Let's see how you blame everybody else for everything as an adult. I mean, that is probably one of the surefire signs of somebody who's not really reached adult maturity, is the lack of accountability. When you have an action that you do that's wrong. And we do those as adults. Believe it or not, we screw up. But not saying we screw up, that's where I think that's not cool. All right, take it away, Chantel.
I try not to like take it out on people around me, like, crabby. So what I do is I just like.
Okay, well, that said, an oppositional defiant disorder, that was under A. Pattern of angry, irritable mood, argumentative, defiant behavior, or vindictiveness, lasting at least 6 months, as evidenced by at least 4 symptoms from any of the following categories. Losing temper. Chantel, you're all of them.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure her pictures? Look again. Is her picture down there? Look.
Well, we don't have pictures in the DSM-5 because we don't need pictures.
That's you need to put in a submission to put her picture there. That's all you gotta do.
But yes, I think her picture would be probably potentially in an academic paper. That very picture we see right now, this very face, the face of delusion. This is the face of somebody that will never take accountability for any of their actions, as long as they keep being able to never see a consequence from it.
Yeah, I agree.
And people sending her money even to help her get back to Canada, you're just helping feed the beast.
Yeah.
So don't be shocked if she turns around and then gets angry at you and blocks you off her channel. You asked for it.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Because you're negative.
Oh, I'm negative. Is that? Oh, they're negative. They're negative. Yeah, I'm sure she thinks I'm negative too.
Oh, I'm negative. You're negative. Anybody with common sense is negative.
Yeah, and a lot of it is, I think we do see, unfortunately, what the internet has been able to have us see is adults who really don't act like adults on the greater part, especially somebody who's been so, rewarded for doing pretty much, nothing good for the last 7 or 8 years.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, what do you expect? All right, keep going, Chantel.
Just let me be. I'll just take some time because I don't want to be crabby,
Well,
I could never, honestly. This cat is like, baby, you're my baby. Come show everybody your beautiful self, baby.
Aww.
I'm sorry, Lily Cat.
I am so sorry, Lily Cat, to hear that. That makes me want to cry, actually. Oh,
But you're a good mommy because you take care of her.
Absolutely, and it makes me, I understand. I just had a hemangioma sarcoma removed from Junebug's foot, and so when the biopsy came back, we did find out it was cancer. It seems that all the margins were clear, but obviously there's a potential for her to have more in the future. So I'm so sorry that your cat had to go through that. And that I know that's really hard, especially in the mouth. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be able to prevent the cat from wanting to eat. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I understand, Lily Cat.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, sweetie. And I know, and that's why I think this person using even saying that the cat had a death rattle and all this sort of BS. Do you know what I mean? That cat was nowhere near a death rattle. I promise you.
Well,
and yes, you can actually hear a death rattle without a stethoscope, because I've heard that. It's a very clear sound that you hear, because I worked in hospice, so I've heard that lung sound of the rattle.
Yeah.
It's not as common as you think, but it does happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, most of the feral cats
That's
have.
right before death. That death
Yeah,
rattle
well,
is not a cat that's like trying to squirm out your arms, big girl.
no, I mean, she probably had some upper respiratory infection because most of them do.
Right. Or that
But
sort of cat flu. There is that sort of cat flu, isn't there? I think that potentially causes a
yeah,
respiratory.
there's a couple of them that those upper respiratories, and like I said the other day, there's sometimes you have to do 2 rounds of antibiotics to, and some then they're not like it's quite bad, and a lot of times it's in like pounds, because
Right.
most of the cats I've gotten from pounds and humane societies or whatever, and almost
When I'm
all
referring
of them.
sorry to saying Chantel's a big girl, I mean she's an adult. It's
Yeah.
not size, just to clarify. We
Yeah.
know it could go both ways, but I wouldn't be trying to have an ad hominem attack on her physical. I would just explain that obviously she is medically morbidly obese. That's all I would say.
Well, I'd say she has TFTB, too fat to breathe. That's what my diagnosis would be.
Oh, yeah. She's smothering those lungs. I'm surprised she's not the
Absolutely.
one. I think when she heard that death rattle, she actually was hearing herself.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, it's quite alarming, and I hate to tell her that little inhaler she's got. That ain't helping you.
Has she got like a short-acting albuterol or something like that?
Probably, but I don't know that she's ever been diagnosed with asthma. She had those blood
no,
clots
she's
in
using
her
that for the
lungs.
COPD.
Who knows?
I mean, if it was prescribed at all, it wouldn't be for asthma. They'd be prescribing that probably for her, like for having like either like emphysema or bronchitis or something through COPD.
Yeah,
Which,
but you know,
the amount of shisha she smokes and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised.
no. Well, all the other stuff she smoked,
Well,
I
that
mean,
too would contribute to potentially that.
she's been blazing up like a reggae band for the last 25 years. So, you know, good saying.
Well, that could be another reason to get her short-acting albuterol. All right, yeah, go. Keep going.
Shaved one. Oh, so much better. I'm so happy. Crazy Frog. So does his best to cheer me up. I'm grateful for him. But
sorry for yours. I know.
Even I don't know. It's even with that, it's so hot. You saw all the cats hiding, and I just don't even want to think about it. Honestly, I just don't even want to, like, a part of me.
It is distressing. I mean, a lot of us who've had to travel to countries, have lived in other countries. In Mexico, it's dogs everywhere. Dogs were all over the streets, all over the place.
Yeah.
Packs of wild dogs living in the park across the street from my house, you know, that were never going to be obviously rehabilitated into any type of home. And so it is, you know, hard. But you do have to understand that sometimes those dogs actually do have owners. They just run the streets. It's just like, that's how they are. So you can't really, you know, you don't know. And certainly, you know, some of those dogs, you're not going to want to touch them. It's, you know, and I, you know, did what I, you know, was able to do as far as having my animals in Mexico. And it was hard. It was very hard, you know, and I felt hopeless because there weren't really animal charities that I was aware of. And it's difficult. It does make you feel distressed, especially if you don't feel like you can help. I did take the 2 animals I had with me, though, from Mexico. Did not leave them with my ex-husband. I took my cat and my dog. Was never going to leave those behind. So unlike Chantel, who was quite happy to get rid of her animals for her, and my concern is if she just scurries out of Canada, or sorry, out of Kuwait back to Canada, what is she providing for Julia? Because she's obviously not prepared. You can't just leave with an animal like that. You've got to have, like, ensure that there's space on the flight for that animal, because a lot of airlines only allow a certain number of animals in a flight or like to be carried on. Otherwise, they're going into the underneath the plane. So you have to make sure they have to have all their vaccination and documentation up to date, all sorts of stuff, all sorts of things to bring your animals. because I had to go through that process to bring my animals from Mexico to the United States.
Now,
And
since
I was
she
a
has,
young person doing and organizing, and this is long before the internet. And I still was able to get it done and understand to be early at the airport and speak to certain people and do all the things in order to my animals not to be left behind with my ex-husband.
well, she has no desire to take this cat if she gets the boot. Since she has to have 2 seats, she would already have a seat. She could put the cat in a carrier, but that takes effort. So, you know. Hey, hippie
I'm
Easter.
so sorry to hear that, Sam, about Igor. I know. I feel the same way. I have a pit bull, which is not a dog very well treated here in the United States. So part of the reason why I got Junebug is because most of the apartments and condos and, anything that's not owned by somebody will not permit these dogs in the home for rental properties. And so they tend to be the most abused in this country, the lowest rates of vaccinations, and the most likely to be found in a shelter. And so that's why I have. Well, Junebug's a wonderful dog. I know you're looking at me, sweet. She's looking at her dinner bowl. In a minute. It's not 6 o'clock yet. She's looking already at her food bowl. It's about the time she gets dinner. But so yeah. So for me, I completely understand, that's, and so I think for a lot of us that have, sacrificed for our companion pets, this person is, no sacrifice at all. Okay, Chico.
I never wants to watch that part because if I see like the mom or if I see any of the cats deceased, like
they had no backstory for Junebug. They didn't tell me anything. I asked them. They wouldn't tell me at the shelter. So I don't know if they do that to stop you from having any misconceptions of the dog. So they wouldn't actually tell me how she arrived to the shelter. So I have no idea. No idea. All I know is that her report said she didn't want to do anything with the people in the shelter. And she wasn't a good dog.
Oh.
It's not the case. She's an awesome dog. But she just didn't want to be in a shelter, obviously. So she'd been in the shelter for like 4 months and was not getting adopted.
Oh.
Yeah. She's an awesome dog. I mean, but it took me years to get her in a car and stuff willingly. I mean, this is like stuff that I've had to work with her on for years with a lot of patience, and I think a lot of people who've had animals who have come from situations where they probably were abused. And I have a feeling that was Junebug's situation just because of certain things, like when I'd, just pick up a hairbrush and stuff, she'd be like flinching and things like, what is going on, And then, you obviously realize, oh my God, she probably was hit with a hairbrush or something or an object or something, you know? So that sort of type of situation. So I think for watching somebody try to squirm their way out like Chantel's about to do, it's very, and I think that one thing that people have to understand when you're studying psychiatry, not every personality type is going to be somebody that you're going to like. Just because you study mental health, you don't think that everybody's inherently good.
Yeah.
Part of it is that you do understand really about human nature. I think that that actually not assuming that everybody is good is probably better in the realm of psychiatry because it allows you to potentially be more open about different ways that people behave. And I've been watching Chantel, at least with her lives, and I feel that she just does have a lot of personality traits that show that she lacks maturity.
No, you don't say.
That's a nice way to put it. Keep going, Chantel.
I can't handle it. Like mentally, like I
need to. Bones has been busy in the garden today.
Fake outrage. I know, but it's so like gross. Yeah. Oh. Absolute rubbish. Anyway. Yeah, using the word monster. Yeah. Like, imagine. Like,
right.
Set up a consent order. Yeah, you really have the means for that. I don't really want to go into what happened with the whole situation of how we were advised, that it was in our best interest to return the cat. But that's what happened, yeah.
I wonder who would be advising that these two would actually take the time to listen to. I wonder if it was, and that they spoke to. Maybe it was somebody at that vet pharmacy.
Well, but as far as we know, Salah told her, "Oh, I've been contacted by the authorities. We've got to take it back." She wouldn't know. She doesn't speak the language, and
Right.
she would
But
believe
I wonder
it was just a money grab. Get the money and then go dump the cat back off.
right. I think there may be people that do live in Kuwait who do watch and know this drama going on YouTube
Oh yeah,
and
Oh,
would be
yeah.
able
So-
to call in contact and speak the language.
yeah. I just, I just kind of feel that he might have just lied to her, or that may have
Potentially
been
that
her cover
too.
story.
Now that
Yeah.
could be a good possibility because he wasn't happy when she kind of took the animal.
Yeah,
So maybe it doesn't work. Him saying, I think maybe she would have to say it that way
yeah,
because she's so defiant. I'm sure
yeah.
I think the only reason why the cat willingly was returned by her was because it was a male. I think had the cat been female, she would have had the cat in the house.
Yeah.
I think we'd be
Yeah.
having like the cat would not be there. She would be defiantly holding. Well, or maybe they felt they did the scam and got the money and it was just better to put the cat back. Who knows? I
Yeah.
don't think we'll ever know that part, really. I don't think we'll ever know. Because
No.
Salal's not anyone to be trusted either. So who knows where that
No.
came from?
Mm-mm.
Just,
Not
that's
at all.
always going to be a mystery in this story.
That's the truth. Yeah, if I left the cat, they would have been like, "You're so horrible." But
No, nobody would have said that.
yeah,
We know.
and I don't know. You had to quit a job with working with animals. It's so awful. I know. Honestly, it's so like. We played chase earlier a little bit.
That cat hates her. Look
Yeah,
at
that
her.
cat looks mad as heck.
That cat hates her.
Absolutely.
I
That
know.
was a mad looking cat, man. Like the tail was like doing that flicking thing when cats are pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't look like a happy cat.
Free Julia.
Yeah, free Julia, always. The only thing I really worry about these two incompetent adults actually figuring out what's the best thing to do with this animal. Gosh, really, seriously. Because when you make that, well, we know she has no loyalty or sense of having to finish, like, she certainly isn't anybody who's like, oh, I need to, be really good to this animal.
Yeah.
No sense of that whatsoever.
No, not at all.
And that's something that shows the quality, I think, of somebody's character at the end of the day. If you understand that when you have a companion animal come into your home, that you, unless circumstances get to a place where you, for whatever unforeseeable reason, can't care for that animal, at least then try to find the best care for that animal,
Yeah.
Because I did that. I gave one of my cats away to a family in Mexico when I was leaving, because going back to the UK, did not know what was going on, and found this great, like, house with these folks in Mexico who are all like vegetarian and like lived in like this like big like group situation. It was like a really cool place. They were like really into animals and stuff, And so I gave them like a couple $100 and they were happy. The cat was fixed, at least for some of the initial veterinary care. And they were cool, But it was a friend of mine who also took it in. It was somebody I went out and knew. It was a lady I was that I worked with and I went to lunch with, and I knew them and I known them for some time. So I knew where the cat was going,
Yeah.
But that was the only time, because I was going to London. It was just not going to be a situation where I could just bring an animal. It was different when I came here to the States, because I knew what situation I was coming to with family and stuff. So it was a very different situation. Yeah. Britain also has very different quarantine laws on animals. So my animal would have been like in quarantine for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So that was not what I
that's
wanted
not
my
good.
animal to experience. So that was
No,
another reason why when I was moving to the UK, I could not take my pet. So I wanted to think of what was the quality of life for the animal at the end of the day, not my needs. Not like this person. It's all about her at the end of the day. And that's very much that sort of narcissistic tendency.
But I will play chase with her around the apartment because sorry for my pimple. That's when I'm nervous. I don't know. I just feel off right now.
Evil.
She's ready to play pounce. Like what we do is like, I know when she's like hyper and she'll come up to me and go, "Meow," and then I'll get up and go, "I'm going to get you. I'm going to get this baby. I'm going to get this baby." And then I'll chase her here for a run on the treadmill. And then when I go to run back, she'll chase after me on the couch and go like this at me.
That would make my day to know that Julia was rescued by a family in Canada, America, Europe, wherever. That would make my day. That would make my day. Or even a good family in Kuwait, wherever.
Yeah.
Just anybody but Chantel. Or Salah, because I think he's happy. Baked up there. I don't think he's operating on a full yeasty loaf in his brain.
No.
He's half a loaf up there.
No, he's a couple of sandwiches.
Something slightly amiss with Salah, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's got something amiss.
Yeah.
I'll just chase her around. Wait. Because you feel silly girl. Yeah, I don't know, Larry, really. I don't make the rules, She's mad about her butt shape. And the guy had to keep bringing her to us because he kept like...
When I was back in the 90s, it was like 6 months or something. So yeah, it was a little bit longer. I think they've reduced the time, but at the time it was a very long time, like 6 months. And you pay for all the time in quarantine. It was not inexpensive. It was like something wild. So that's a reduction. So they've improved things.
6 months. Jeez. He had to redo it 3 times because we said like the whole area for hygiene, and he only did just around the area.
We have no
race. Said no, like we want around the legs too, because sometimes one will get stuck on her leg hair. Maybe take a couple of days off. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Probably a good idea.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea, but you were forced to take a couple of days off, Chantel, not because you wanted to. You needed to make that coin right up till the end.
Yeah.
And you've had to delete the last couple of days right at the end of the month. Sarasota Tim, I haven't even seen how many videos he's put out today, but it was 14 yesterday, Chantel.
Come on, step up your game.
Yeah. Where are you going wrong?
Be more like Tim, Chantal.
Yes. You need to return a steak you already cooked. God. Bought another pair of shoes. I cannot with them. He returned another pair and bought another pair. And he returns the shoes because he washed the shoes with the laces. And I guess the laces got ruined in the wash.
Get some new laces.
No, he has to return the entire shoe. And if I'm telling you, the man is out there. All right, Chantel, keep going.
But then I let people win, No,
that's very telling.
Yeah.
Then I let people win. Look at the face.
Smug tall.
And Chantel cannot abide losing. Whatever she perceives losing to be. Because in my mind, she's losing a lot.
Yeah.
She's losing her health.
Yeah. Oh shit, that's gone. That's gone. That's been gone. But
right.
We think she's at risk of losing everything, but then you have to say, like, what does she really got? Because she doesn't have she has a loophole husband, she doesn't have a home, she doesn't have a car.
Right.
She doesn't, she has nothing.
No, she's absolutely pretty much destitute.
Yeah.
She is and owes money. And the last thing she needs is to owe almost 10,000 Canadian dollars to Kuwait for a criminal offense. And that's not including the attorneys that she would need to hire to help her through this.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to walk in there, not speak the language, and navigate through this. It's Salah, and I don't think his family are going to be there for her. I think he's like piecing out as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I don't think he even cares what she's going to say on the internet once she leaves. I think he can block that out.
Mm-hmm.
She can rage all she wants in Canada. I don't think he really cares.
That's a fact, Pat Ray. You got that right. If she has to go to dialysis, that's.
Oh, they don't have a quarantine on pets if they have paperwork and shots in order. Yes, that's what I understand. He had to, at one point, it was like he had to come in on a British Airways flight. I'm talking about stuff from 2001, so it was still a little bit different back in the time I was talking about. But that's, I think as long as you have paperwork, I think if it has to come out of certain countries though, where they can actually verify, you probably had to really get that paperwork through legal channels, and not a country where you could just bribe somebody for paperwork. Because there's always that, guys. You have to understand, if it's cheaper to bribe for the paperwork than pay for the vaccines, then that would happen, Let's be honest. And Chantel is not, I think, got her fingers in enough she has not really made a life for herself in Kuwait where she's going to be able to have people who are going to help her navigate out of this situation very well. Her family are not well off enough to send her money for the legal. I guess she's like packing up real quick.
I don't know. From what I've heard, I think her uncle is more affluent than like her mom and stepdad, and definitely her aunt. But there's a difference in helping somebody that truly needs it and deserves it than somebody who's put themselves in this situation. And I'm sure, the family didn't want her to go over there and all that kind of stuff, and being defiant,
Right.
No, I'm going to do this, to go move halfway around the world and marry a man that I don't even know. Yeah.
Would my thoughts have always been is that she is going to get herself in trouble one day, Bear, because she really doesn't like authority. And she doesn't really think she needs to listen to anybody but herself. So I know with that type of personality type, you are going to get yourself in legal trouble at some point as an adult, because you cannot get through life like that persistently and not get yourself in trouble.
Absolutely.
I mean, she already is technically in trouble in Canada. It's just that Canada tends to not be very harsh on bankruptcy and not paying taxes. If she were in the United States with that type of tax bill, IRS would be treating her in a very different manner.
Oh, they'd be rappelling through her windows. Yeah.
She'd be in
IRS
jail.
Don't play. The IRS does not play.
Absolutely not. They do not play. That's how they get all the gangsters in this country, is the IRS.
Yeah, Catherine mentioned, yes, I think she said now this is what she says, her grandfather has money and lives in Florida, and look, I don't like to she's called him racist. So if he is racist, is he going to send money to her to help her out of this situation? I tend to believe he's probably not racist, because
I don't know. My grandma was from the South, and she really was quite racist. My grandma did some awful things. I used to have to tell her, please don't say that. You sound really racist.
I was very fortunate. I mean, all my family's from the South, and we can trace up to when we came from England. And
same with mine. I descend from Thomas Jefferson, but doesn't mean that they're not Virginian, and my grandma didn't say some really bad stuff.
Yeah, but I was really lucky. My family, and especially my parents, we always were taught to judge people on their character.
My mother was that way.
Yeah.
My mother was that way. My grandmother was old Southern racist. Because she was born in 1918. What do you think?
Well, I'm not making excuse for it, but
my grandma was deceased, obviously, but she was born in 1918 in Virginia.
Well,
with nannies and stuff. She was racist. she had that old, I know it's just how they were, I just luckily my family knew not to be that way, over time. I still have some who are like that though, and guess what? I don't talk to them.
Yeah.
They also went to Liberty College and follow under the teachings of Jerry Falwell. So need I say more?
Yeah. I don't try not to judge, but
Oh no, one of my cousins is married by Jerry Falwell. They blatantly are absolutely racist, and they say the most racist things. They really do. I don't speak to them.
Well,
I
don't have very many family left, so I'm very fortunate that the ones that I have are lovely, wonderful, loving, kind, accepting people.
Oh no, mine. If there was a picture of dysfunction, I think the remaining family I would have there probably would be pictured in it. It's probably why I have such a fascination into mental health. It scares the rest of my family too.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to think that they're going to suddenly the kid in the family is the psychiatrist and looking at everybody.
Not popular.
It's unnerving for some family members. I know it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting at Thanksgiving.
I don't do Thanksgiving, but that's okay. I usually working. That's why.
Yeah.
All right.
That's true.
Yeah. Remember, I'm a nurse.
They rescued Bruce and who did? What?
Yeah, she tells us some terribly racist things too.
Was Kuwait just uploaded up? No, wait, let me check.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
I'd like to know how she found this page because I can't find them. I don't know how I haven't been able to find it.
Well, I'm almost a boomer, Gen X. I don't have any of that Instagram, the Twitter, none of that stuff. I don't have none of it. But
I haven't just kind of set up Instagram through a Life and Vibe account, which I don't do anything actively, just so I can look for things on Instagram for people like glitter and lasers and stuff.
Yeah. But and I don't know if it was that Strawberries Beezer that told her about it. But I think probably because she had tried to contact them, Chantal, that she had whatever link to go to their page, because that's what the Strawberries was saying. You need to go look. They've rescued, I guess they were calling him Bruce Lee.
And they may not show up on my feed because maybe they're local to Kuwait or something. Do you know what I mean? So maybe internationally it's hard to find stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because maybe it's based on geography.
Yeah.
And so you know exactly like the handle to look up, which I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't go on to Twitter or X or whatever they call it.
No, I don't.
I know it's all over Girl World. You can see it, guys. But keep going.
I guess they're being rescued. They've been rescued.
Come on in.
But I feel like haters probably like bombarded them too. And now they're like, we're not accepting. There's like this big drama post on their page. Like, we are dealing legally with people asking for illegal donations for the cat. Like, what? I hope they're not referring to me because I did not do that whatsoever. Like, what? Oh my.
How does she not understand that asking for donations without being a charity to do something is not? Look at the face. She's so like, how dare you? She really is like thinking that she's got like a human shield somehow.
Well, she may not have known about the law because she also says, they take.
What, you mean the law that you can't just take money from people for charity without being a charity and doing stuff? I think that's probably a law everywhere.
Well, in her mind, she thought she was taking the money to treat the cat. And maybe some small amount.
No, let's not give her that grace, cheekbones. She knew she was taking money from people, majority of it, to fund whatever she funds for herself. Some of the money was going to be funneled to the cat. But the main goal of that request for money, and why she always has the duper's delight smirk on her face is because she knows she's going to take most of that money for herself to buy crap food.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so it's a scam. It's absolutely, she's like when she asked for that money through PayPal for the apartment furniture. Every time she asks for money, she's literally scamming people because she lies about what its true intention is meant for.
Well, I think
she should just say, I'm going to spend $5 on the cat. I'm going to spend $500 eating myself stupid.
Yeah.
And just
I think in her mind, it wasn't about the amount. It was, well, I got donations to help the cat, and this place asked for donations to help the cat.
Yeah, but they're a charity. They're a charity.
Yeah, but
where they probably have to show accounting and stuff.
Oh, well, they don't take the money. They drop you a link and you donate directly to the animal hospital or to wherever. They take no money.
So maybe that's the way it's managed in a country like Kuwait, differently than say here in the States or maybe Canada or the UK. So that kind of maybe helps them with their, having it directly to the places, and that happens here too, where people make donations directly to the vet that's taking care of, say, of an animal or something.
Yeah.
Because that way people know it's going directly to the care of the animal.
By no means am I taking up for her. But
I know you don't. But we would never want to give her any grace.
No.
Everything she does is for self-gain at the end of the day.
But she couldn't process that there's a law that you can't take donations. That was the whole point. But maybe she didn't know it at this point, and I think people probably informed her, but she still wouldn't process that. And it had to be, like Boo Squeezy said, she went from hero and now she's shifting into victim.
Well,
they called them. They told them I'm a horrible person, and
anybody who believes that she's a victim is obviously, somebody who's not functioning on full faculties. In my opinion, because
you are right.
When you set your own circumstance up, she's only a victim of her own actions.
Yeah,
that's all she's a victim of.
Dawn made the comment. She did say begging is illegal in Kuwait, but she doesn't equate what she did as begging. It was people giving her money because they wanted to help.
Well, that's just her, because she's always going to twist a narrative in her favor.
Yeah.
Because she's never going to take responsibility, because she
didn't consider what she was doing was begging.
Because part of her personality traits is to have these types of negative behaviors that actually are going to disrupt her life. Whether she believes they're negative behaviors or not is besides the point. Most of us can understand their negative behaviors. Doesn't really matter what she believes. It's what is the norm of the community and societal norms, of which she falls out of those parameters.
Yeah.
And therefore she treads into the areas of mental health disorders, because when you can't understand the difference and you defiantly try to not understand it in order to protect yourself, then that is where it falls into these types of antisocial personality disorders.
Yeah. And, she can't be wrong. So.
Well, no, of course not. They never are. This is, it impacts negatively. Her actions impact things negatively, her negatively now, but she will never accept that.
No.
Because she's, not at a place mentally, because she has persistently tried to not take accountability for her actions. And I think for a very long time.
All her life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think you're sticking up for her, but I just think that I wouldn't give her any type of hall pass for anything, and I think just going back to Canada, I think that's almost too good for her. I think she needs to be deported.
Look, I don't think.
I hope she can't get on a flight I hope it, for whatever reason, there's some sort of big religious holiday going on this weekend. I have no idea. And she can't find a flight. Or she's too broke at the moment to be able to pay for the extra.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and that she's scrambling and actually feeling some weight of her actions. Because she needs something. Because just going back to Canada, I don't think she'll just slip into her same behaviors. Nothing going to change. She's still going to scam her audience.
Yeah, she'll do it when she gets back to Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she might need 2 seats on a plane, you know, but she's, you know, I personally hope that, you know, it is true that she needs to have some type of consequence for her actions. She's just going to keep doing what she's doing online.
Well, but honestly, even if she gets consequences, they'll to her that she was wrongly punished for something.
Doesn't matter. She can say that 1,000 times, and those people, they're not going to even listen, understand what she's saying.
Yeah,
she's going to be suffering a language barrier for a good part.
Yeah, that's true.
No, she has not really been in the society there. She's been pretty much holed up in that apartment. Going out to get a little bit of fast food does not even immerse her into the culture. She's going to have to, I mean, if they really are investigating and starting to open up a legal case, this is not a country that just takes these types of things lightly.
She's been told all that, but look at her behavior since day one. I mean, that rant she went on about Allah's wife. I mean, the vile stuff she said about a woman who has no skin in the game that tried to help her by washing her, helping her bathe, and that she goes off on her and basically calls her a her and all this stuff. I mean, it was just disgusting.
She's probably jealous of that person. She's probably jealous of her.
Because she was pretty and she was thin, so I'm sure
that's Chantel being jealous.
Yeah,
she's just an unhappy person. She's a very unhappy person, extremely unhappy. And everything about what she does, a lot of times, this is the face of a very unhappy woman. As smug as she looks, this smugness, she thinks she's going to walk away because she's gotten out of so much stuff in Canada.
Yeah.
Canada, you have a lot to answer for on this one.
Oh my gosh.
The chat is full of information.
No, I'm getting a shit.
Oh!
Trying to be nice and help them. If it weren't for me,
planes are full. Like a pilgrimage. I knew some stuff would be going on.
Ask, ye shall receive.
That would be great. That's good to know, Eloise. I knew there's always something going on, especially this time of year. You know, it's like summer solstice. It's like a big, equinox and all sorts of stuff going on. So there's all sorts of stuff. The planes are full. She may not be able to get just a seat back like that. I'm sure people have been looking up flights.
Yeah, I think they have.
But again, she may have restrictions on that return.
Yeah. But I mean, since she's flying into Montreal, that may be where she has a little saving grace. If she was in Montreal flying back, that might be an issue, but
that's a good point, Sticky Bus Malte.
Yeah.
One way to prevent terrorist organizations from being funded. She should have known. She doesn't think she thinks she's above the law everywhere. Because she's not suffered any consequences in Canada for things that she's done. And when she walked out of that job, or she managed to turn it around into her getting money for being illegally taken out of her job. She was given money for something, when she wasn't even doing her job well.
Yeah.
So in America, this would be like being the Motel 8 that she laughs about.
Yeah.
Because you can't be like this in the United States.
No. If she was like that in the U.S.
She'd be owing $30,000 to the IRS and doing all the shenanigans that she's been up to. And
that mouth that got her in trouble
free and clear to wander around, causing havoc in another country.
Yeah. She has said too many things about events in the U.S. and stuff. If I was her, I wouldn't come to the U.S.
Oh no, she shouldn't be in the U.S. But I'm just saying that if she was somebody who was a U.S. citizen and she had the type of, not wanting to pay the taxes and the bankruptcies and all that stuff going on, that's not going to get you very far in your life in the United States.
No. No.
She would definitely be like doing some probably TikTok e-begging, but like way down the food pole, like the food chain. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
you can't be this incompetent because she wouldn't have had even health care here. So all those emergency room visits, none of that. And she'd be owing so much money in like hospital bills and stuff. It would be outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
She never would have gotten money for losing a job. She would have been lucky she got unemployment.
Yeah, exactly.
She would have been fighting for that. So she's been, I think, given a pretty decent amount of life. All right, let me get going because I got to get a little bit of time to eat dinner before I tim it out. All right, finish it out, Chantel.
On their page.
We'll finish by 6:30.
They even use my pictures on their page. Yes, they're harassing everybody. They're not suing me because I'm not paying a dime. Like, I need to get out of this country, man. Like, insane.
I gotta get out of this country, man. It seems like the planes are full, Chantel. What are you gonna do? You mean you don't want to face consequences? What do you think at this point?
She just made the comment, they're not going to sue me. Well, I don't think it was a matter of suing you. I don't think they said anything. I may be wrong about suing her. They were turning her case over to authorities for the grift.
Correct.
So it wasn't Paul's, I don't think was talking about, we're going to sue her. They were just saying, are no way affiliated with this woman, because that could have caused them some problems.
Right.
From what I understand, they're so strict and stuff about the charity stuff. So I don't think they were going to sue her. They were just saying, we're turning this, we're not affiliated with her. We don't know her. And we're collecting the information and going to forward it to the authorities. And if her features are
real fast too, just to kind of follow up on that thing you spoke about earlier about the law. So this was on the 12th of May, 2025. Kuwait imposes ban on all donations by individuals and entity. All fundraising through online links or direct solicitations will be monitored closely. Kuwait authorities have imposed a comprehensive ban on donations, extending beyond charitable organizations to include all legal and personal entities without exception, as part of ongoing efforts to regulate fundraising activities and combat potential misuse. The ban covers both public and private fundraising, whether conducted through traditional means or digital platforms, including bank links and payment services such as WAMD, which I'm not familiar with. All fundraising, whether personal or institutional, through online links or direct solicitations, will be monitored closely, said a government source familiar with the directive. Violators will face full legal accountability regardless, okay, Chantal, of their intentions. The announcement follows recent arrest of a prominent mosque imam and preacher known for his appearances on local television and radio programs. The man who holds a PhD degree was detained for allegedly collecting donations via WhatsApp by sharing emotional stories, which Chantel seems to do with these cats, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And directing contributions to his personal bank account, which, if we understand, Chantel, you were directing people to your PayPal, friends and family, which would be a personal donation. Authorities have launched a formal investigation and are preparing to refer the case to prosecutors. Kuwait has warned both citizens and residents, cautioning against the use of their personal or corporate bank accounts to send or receive payment links for donation purposes. The public was also advised not to respond to charitable appeals sent through personal messages, group chats, or digital forums, even if motivated by goodwill, as such actions could carry legal consequences. The donation ban is absolute and applies to everyone. No one is exempt.
Yeah. And she did say,
Golf News.
Well, Catherine's right. She did say, you know, what was it? Report me. I don't care. Go ahead and report me.
Well, she should have cared because she should have been aware that they are not playing. And if they're going to take in the morning, they don't care about some cosplaying Muslim revert from Canada.
No.
And they will get you to the full extent of the law. And I'm kind of glad those planes are full because maybe that is Allah intervening, Chantal, for you cosplaying a Muslim.
Well, you know,
I know that people say that you can't know in their heart, but I'm just saying from a psychiatric point of view and from somebody who isn't a Muslim, I think that's what's going on with this person.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
which country
Chantal
villainizes people for trying to help? Like what? Like, yeah, they use my pictures that I send them initially, and then go check out the post. It's like,
and I don't even think it would matter for the cat because weren't you saying recently that she has like this goal to raise $100 a day on her channel?
She has a goal every day, $50, $100.
Wouldn't that be like asking for personal donations? Didn't say
for future beeses. It's not even to help save an animal or for medical expenses or it doesn't,
but they don't care. It says ban on donations. All legal and personal entities without exception. Fundraising. Would that not be a fundraising? Not to respond to charitable appeals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All those grifts, those gold things from the
all fundraising.
That effective date, May the 10th. This isn't just about the cat situation. This is going back, you know, over a month that she's been doing this.
Right.
And if they hit her, find her per occurrence, that's at least almost once a day.
Correct. So it's not even Chantal. I mean, you could get for the kitten, but they could get you on a number of things that you've been asking. They don't want anybody asking in Kuwait. And nobody, just because you're a Canadian sitting in Kuwait, doesn't mean that you're living in an international body of apartment. Where you are, you know, you're not a diplomat. You're not going to get immunity from prosecution as a diplomat, Chantal. Surprisingly. Chantal, you're not a diplomat. But Chantal seems to think she should get diplomatic immunity for being Chantal.
Yeah. Well, you know, she has said before
she doesn't think that she thinks that she shouldn't ever see any type of consequence for her behaviors, that she's above everything.
Well,
and she'll rationalize it to the end of days.
Well, Vicki Lynn makes a comment. You don't mess around in Muslim countries. You just don't. I mean, it's
you don't mess around in any country that isn't your own.
Well, you know,
you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Like you could probably, like if I went to England, I could probably do something that England would go, oh, well, we don't care. But you couldn't do the same thing in a Muslim country.
Right.
Like I
or a lot of countries around the world, actually. Well, it's the majority of the world is not permissive of most people's bad behaviors.
Well, like, no, I mean, just something as simple as I could wear a tank top with my boobies showing over in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody would give it a second thought. But if I went over to a Muslim country and did that.
Oh, absolutely.
Depending on the country.
I wouldn't advise you doing it in certain areas of Mexico if you're not in a resort district.
Yeah. So it's.
Like, I wouldn't walk down Mexico City streets like that.
Yeah. So it's just, you know, but from the way she talks, her behavior, filming oil fields, walking on graves. I mean, the list is long and extensive of things I would never do that are so disrespectful in that country.
Right. But I think really we know she's disrespectful, but it's now the most interesting part is they really have strict laws that really she is beyond the cat. She could be done for just her asking for people to donate for her visas.
Yeah. And I'm sure they've got a file on her, I'm sure.
Well, now they will.
Well, people have been sending stuff to the Kuwaiti authorities forever, but I think how she's gotten out of it is she's a tourist. But, you know, it's odd that out of all the stuff she's done, it's this cat thing that's got her.
Well, because it's the one thing that an organization that actually has some, it has a legal entity in the country is actually able to probably get an attorney and do something about it. Because they maybe have heard about her and now they actually have some traction to do something. And maybe somebody sent some money over to the attorney.
Yeah.
And paid for the attorney. Well, how do we pay for that fund?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if
let's send money to that attorney.
Well, I don't know if the like Melly and Teardrop and Tracy, or I just saw something posted on a community tab about them or gonna start or have started like a GoFundMe for her or something. So, I don't know how that would play out, if that's a violation, if that would fall under Kuwait's laws. I mean, they're not doing it in Kuwait, but it's for somebody in Kuwait. I don't know. But I mean, I don't know how much they think they're going to raise because she done tapped them all out. So whatever.
Well, let's play her out here. Well,
Yeah,
some
okay.
of it, because
Let's go.
I got to get ready to eat dinner and make my next thumbnail and get ready to live stream on Tim. So as fascinating as Chantel is, I need to see how many videos Tim put out on me today. 14 yesterday. Lord of my life.
I'm gonna go get it. I'm not getting off. Don't tell me to get off.
It does.
Of course, Nicole, you got doxxed. Of course. These are the people who say that we're bad people. Do you see what I mean? Do you see how they are?
Well, according to Kuwait, you broke their laws. I don't know if that makes you a good or bad person, Chantel, but you broke the laws of another country. So trying to change the narrative about what other people did to somebody else is not a reason for you not to seek accountability for this.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
this is what she needs to hear in therapy, unfortunately.
Well, it's not her actions, it's the haters. It's their fault.
Well, no, it's not.
I know it's not, but that's how she's spinning this.
Oh, well, absolutely. Because, that's her way of trying to supposedly control a narrative, which she has very little control over most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a few sycophants who, I guess, proximity to this person is their jam. I still don't get them.
I don't get it.
I would like to do some questionnaires.
Yeah.
How is it illegal, for me to take the cat and people said they would help with money to bring him to the vet, but it's okay for that organization to ask for donations? Like what? Shut up.
Well, they have certain rules and, bans all donations by individuals. They're closely monitored, which is probably why Pause Kuwait asks people to donate directly to the services that are paying to care for these animals.
Yeah.
Rather than it going through the charity in order to avoid the scrutiny.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I would suggest, Chantel, you got familiar with Gulf News and read a little bit about where you were at every day and what the laws are before you just start, shooting your mouth off and complaining about something and sounding really uneducated. What do you think, Cheekbones?
Well, I mean, it's not so much, I probably don't know every law in my county. I've never been arrested. I've never had any, problems and stuff, but, and I know ignorance is not a defense in the eyes of the law, but she never, I mean, to say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was a law. You know, if she probably would have went
Wouldn't
in,
even, they wouldn't care there.
well, but I'm just saying,
Unfortunately, they don't care in places like that.
well, it may have.
You don't get a benefit of the doubt. That's what we get here. That's why we fight for democracy.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
supposedly what sets us apart. These types of countries,
you know, well, you didn't
they
know,
don't
so
care.
get out, you know, but
they said very clearly here at the end.
Well, but
no one is able to get away from this.
Well, but what are they going to get from her? She doesn't have any money.
Either 10,000. It doesn't matter. She'd be remaining in Kuwait until she has that debt paid off. So I guess she'll be in jail. Well, or deported. They would potentially deport her, but they don't like them not paying off their fines. Maybe they have a work program where she has to work and pay it off. I don't know how they would have it. What I have read is you have to pay those fines. You don't have a pass out.
Well, hey, Sammy in Brooklyn.
So I don't think that any of the things that we think apply to us here in our countries, it's not going to apply in a place like Kuwait.
Yeah.
None of it.
Well, I was just thinking in terms
of it.
The medical cost. If they say, well,
they don't care about her. They wouldn't care if she probably doesn't even have her insulin in the jail. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't care.
The Farrah Fiasco went over today in a stream she did about the jail system. Like they would have to, I mean, they would provide her with insulin and that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, you know, somebody with that.
Maybe I'm thinking of Mexico because I know there they wouldn't care two hoots.
Well, she was reading, you know, about it and
she'd have to have a family member, like getting some stuff from the pharmacy and bringing it over probably or something. I'm sure it's very different. But
you know, I don't want her to skate. I mean, if don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I think, you know, at least acknowledging that you've done something, but she's so defiant.
She's never going to, she doesn't ever, that's never going to happen.
No,
She's not in enough therapy for that to occur.
Yeah.
She's not, this is a 40-some-year-old woman who has spent the majority of her existence stuffing her face with fast food.
Yeah.
She's no moral compass whatsoever. She's not learning anything from this. She's just going to get upset because she doesn't like to be found out. That's it.
Yeah.
Why she's so upset. It's got nothing to do with her actually feeling a sense of remorse for her actions. No. The only remorse is for Chantel to have to hustle and not be sitting in her little comfort box. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Keep going, Chantel.
I'm not mad they got rescued. Like, I seriously need to get out of here. I can't. Doxy Nicole was the worst bullying. Yeah, but we're the bullies, right? We're the bullies. Okay. Yeah, someone probably sent messages saying I'm a scammer. Exactly. Yeah.
Saying you're a scammer or that you are a scammer.
Yeah.
Chantel, we've seen you scam. Mm-hmm. We saw you do the apartment PayPal thing last year. You are notorious for it. Don't even be.
Use my platform to help. Good luck. Send the law after me. I'm getting out of here. Honestly.
I have to laugh. Because this sounds like somebody is about to get in trouble.
Well, as far as I can understand, Salah's in the chat telling her to zip it.
And well, of course, because
telling him, you know, I'll talk if I want to, and I'll do what I want to, and you're making me mad.
This
and
could be presented to somebody in the government in Kuwait about what she's saying here, that she doesn't have to abide by their laws. It's not going to give
Salah's trying to tell her, but she won't shut it because she just can't, I guess.
She mentally cannot. There's no right. The reason with Chantel is she has been, as I've stated, she's never really faced consequences, really.
No.
And I blame Canada.
I'm not staying here.
I do.
Nope.
They were too nice.
Canada bees for life. That's it.
See?
Because I'm not staying somewhere where I get
Canada bees for life. See, she's out in Kuwait because she doesn't want to have to pay taxes in Canada. She just avoids everything. This person takes no accountability. People who send you money, you're trash, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'll say it. They're trash.
Mm-hmm.
I have no other way to say to support somebody that just doesn't even care. I mean, I'm sorry. You cannot have, this is not behavior that should be encouraged, especially in a 40-year-old adult.
Well, I found it very interesting that her first knee jerk was, I got to get out of here. I can't stay here.
No, I'm not surprised at all.
I would be going, oh my gosh, I can't leave my husband. What am I going to do?
Girl, cheekbones, that's not a husband.
Oh, I know, but
no. This is no. Chantel is only about herself. She don't give a crap about the cat. She don't give a crap if Salah gets in trouble. The only person she gives about at the end of the day is Chantel. Well, she don't give a flying F about the Beezers, about anybody. Only person that matters in this person's world is her. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing. All that crap about the husband, this is bullshit, made up soap opera drama. This doesn't exist. She's using it as a way to get the heck out of Canada because she don't want to pay her tax bills. And she's not particularly and she thinks if she hides behind religion, people can't hold her accountable. It's a way for her to escape from all the nastiness that she did prior to going to Kuwait. She's really just a degenerate human being, in my opinion.
Yes. I agree.
I mean, she is. She's an absolute degenerate. I mean, I don't know which way we have to look at it. The sad thing to me is that places like YouTube have rewarded this person also with money for being an absolute degenerate. And other people have supported her being that way.
Yeah.
And I think the fascination lies in the fact that how can you be a 40-year-old adult and this is your behaviors? She's not worried about her husband. She's not worried about the fact that she broke the law in another country.
Yeah.
She don't care. The only person she cares about is saving her skin. And I'm hoping that Mecca flight's are full and she can't get, and she's panicking and actually really having like some real anxiety and some real going down. Because this is an adult that needs to feel something like that. And I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but from a psychiatric point of view, sometimes you need to have people have consequences in their actions in order for them to have any type of behavioral change. It's called hitting rock bottom. And Chantel hasn't quite hit hers yet. And she needs to hit a bottom.
Yeah.
Because without that, the behavior never changes. Unfortunately, for a lot of people with, certain types of behavioral issues. And I don't even know then. They can stay that way because they have such antisocial personalities that there's no other chance of them to be anything else. She don't give two shits about what happens to Salah, in my opinion.
Legal trouble for helping a kitten from dying. Like, no way. Nope. Yeah, exactly, Kristen. Yeah.
I know. I'm harsh on her today.
Yeah, I'm leaving here.
Look at that. That is somebody who's suddenly having a dawning realization that she might actually face some music for her consequences. I think I'm going to have to push off Tim to 8 because I need to eat dinner and have a little break in between. But we're going to keep going. This is somebody who's like, suddenly it's all like crashing in on her, all the stuff she's going to have to organize. And we know Chantel is as lazy as anything. So to have to get her... Because the only thing she's thinking on now, when she read all that stuff, is I need to pack and go.
Yeah. Well, like it's some kind of...
She don't care what happens to the cat, the apartment, what she leaves behind. She don't care.
Well, it's like it's almost some kind of punishment for Salah and Kuwait.
No, she don't care. She's not even thinking about Salah. This person's not thinking about Salah.
Wow.
She's not thinking about him. She's thinking about how she saves her own skin. Because she knows she could potentially she knows she's in a country where there are legal consequences and she doesn't have the resources to get her ass out of it. And it will be humiliating for her to be discovered to be deported.
Oh, yeah.
It's also the sense of humiliation.
Well, and
She doesn't care about anybody. Just
If-
be
if
aware. She
he
doesn't care.
thinks-
She doesn't care about her mom, her sister, Pete's, the cat, Salah. She doesn't care. She doesn't care about anybody.
No, but if she
She barely
thinks
cares about herself.
if she thinks she can twist this, that this
No,
is
she knows she can't twist shit. I think she knows that. That's why she's saying why she has to get out right now. Because she knows
context of
she can't
blame,
talk her
like,
way out of this one in Kuwait.
like Salah, to push him under, like, he took my passport. He's
Yeah, but
kept me
he's got
here.
family and stuff. He's got people to protect her. It doesn't matter. She can say
Yeah.
whatever story she wants.
You know,
Everyone
she
knows
tried.
that Salah's a spineless so-and-so. So no one's
Mhm.
going to believe that.
Well, she'll try it. I'm not saying
Well,
it'll work.
If
but
anybody
she'll-
believes that, they're as delusional and as ignorant as she is displaying about the laws of Kuwait.
well, but he
That
is
says more about those folks' cheekbones than anything else.
well, I'm talking about people in Kuwait. He's an Arab man. She's a Western white woman.
Yeah, but they don't
Muslim
care.
or
That
not.
makes it worse because they know she probably she's flagrantly disobeying laws.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily kind on these people that flagrantly disobey laws in their countries.
Well, I'll put a 5 on it that she'll try it anyway. She'll try it.
She can try whatever she wants. She better be trying it with I promise you, I lived in Mexico. She can't get just we're thinking like Westerners, thinking it's gonna go down like in the States or something. No.
Yeah.
That's why she's panicking. That's why
Yeah.
I have no empathy for her though.
This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
I think the most that will happen is, she gets deported and banned from Kuwait.
Yeah.
And if she just leaves like this and they have an investigation, she'll be blacklisted. She'll never be able to go back to Kuwait. Now she can go back home and say all the shit she wants about Salah. But most of the people know most people will know that the only people who are going to buy any story she says are those beezers.
Yeah.
Nobody else. Nobody's going to buy it.
Well, it'll be
And
interesting.
If they do, then that's, like I said, that says more about their, perception of people than anything else.
Yeah.
This is not a good person.
No. Mm-mm. And maybe all the sins of the past with her, raging during every Ramadan, she's raged and said vile things. And, maybe it's the oil fields, all that stuff. Maybe,
I don't think it's going to be about any of the things. It's going to be literally about the fact that they have a very strict law about those donations. And like I said, it's been both with the cat and with her asking for it for this past month with her food to donate to her beezing. Doesn't matter what the donation is. She's going to try to rationalize the difference between a donation to her food because it's creating content and a donation to the cat. The idea of it being donated through these platforms, it doesn't matter which type of thing it's for. For them, it's going to be a much more blanket law. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
he only really has one choice: get out of Kuwait as fast as possible, or face consequences of having to hire an attorney and deal with the legal process, of which she does not have the capacity to deal with that because she's not very mature.
Well, one of the reactors I was watching today, she said, if I was her, I'd stay there and see what happens.
Well, I wouldn't.
I
can tell you what's going to happen as a foreigner. She's going to get deported.
Yeah. I wouldn't have I'd have got up out of this live stream and grabbed my bag and been at the airport. That's what I.
She needs to be there on standby.
Yeah.
If she really wanted to save her skin, because she doesn't, I personally hope she can't get on a flight. So she has to figure out how to get an attorney and navigate through this.
Yeah.
Because that might teach her some adulting and some, really having to be, because she just doesn't do anything in a rational, logical manner. Everything is impulsive with her. Everything is impulsive.
She talks about she's going to go to the embassy. Like they
don't care.
I know.
What's Canada going to do about that?
Yeah. She thinks, I know where the embassy is. One of the beezer says, oh, you need to go to the embassy. Yeah, I know where it's at. I'm like, if you've committed a crime in that country, your embassy's not going to help you.
No, they're not. You're not going to help you at all. That's a misconception that people have as to what an embassy does. They don't care. Especially now, if somebody committed a crime against you or something happened in that respect, maybe then your embassy would come. But you committing the crime in that country? No. Your embassy is going to want you to take the consequences that are deserved. Depending, obviously certain, countries when it comes to certain penalties around death. All right. Okay, I'm going to have to end up this live stream. Let me try to play it out because I'm going to have to push off my Tim. It's almost 7 o'clock. We've almost been here for 3 hours, cheekbones.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. They're not suing anybody. It's ridiculous.
Chantel loves to throw suing and legal stuff around.
Well, they weren't even saying they were going to sue her. She
doesn't understand anything, cheekbones. She's completely just lives in her little world without really having ever become an adult. She's not an adult. I know technically per her passport, she's an adult. But everything about that kitten and everything with her actions and her, this type of, trying to act all innocent to stuff. And this is very childlike behavior. It's pretty difficult almost to watch as an adult, watching another adult be so childlike.
She is mentally stunted. Sammy's right. She is. She's mentally stunted. And so is he.
Oh, absolutely. I told you he's not operating on a full loaf of bread.
No.
In my opinion.
Messaging me right now, your best thing is to stop messaging me because you're getting me mad too. I'm tired of holding in how I feel. I'm tired of your silence. I need to leave here so I can speak my mind. Okay.
Chantel, you speak your mind all the time, sweetheart. This is just her getting upset because speak my mind means I don't want to be held accountable to any rules set by any type of authority. That's what this means.
I don't know that she's ever held her tongue.
No, she doesn't hold her tongue. She's, and she's just trying to give Salah some veiled, threats at this point that she's going to say stuff about him. That's all this is.
Chelsea, I hope she's on a flight, but I don't know. There's a lot.
I hope she's not. I hope she gets stuck with a big old fine and a deportation and has to pay for all that because she'd have to pay for it. So guess what? They're not going to let her set up a donation page for it.
Yeah, good. Well, I don't hope in the context of, I want her to get away with anything. I don't mean if she was smart, she would have got out ASAP.
She's smart. She would have got out of Kuwait about 2 years ago.
Well, that's true.
But she's not. So I think at this point, to me, I'm like, the thing is, she gets over to Canada, she's going to be the same person she's always been. Nothing going to change. If she gets to Canada. Now, if something happens to her in Kuwait, she may actually start to monitor her actions. But I don't think if she just heads back to Canada, we just get the same old Foodie.
Okay, I need to get the hell out of here.
This person. This is all we're going to get.
Investigating, exactly. Bye. Don't talk to me, Salah. Thank you. It's done. I'm leaving. I'm done. Sorry.
Oh, yeah,
I can't silence myself. Like, I'm done. I'm done with this whole situation. Like, you don't know what it's like holding things in.
This is somebody who's scared of getting consequences. It's not about holding stuff in. That's what she just says as a way to try to create, some type of, because she knows how to get drama. She's done it for years on YouTube. So she knows what to say to get people going. Do you know what I mean? Nobody believes this person's held her tongue.
So what is
or said stuff with Salah? Was she going to let us know that he wasn't really her husband? Well, that's no news.
Yeah. Well, but in your opinion, or I'm interested in your input in it, when she's challenged on that defiance, where does she go with that? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Yep. Is it all of the above?
Yep, all of it. Anger. She can get into anger, irritable mood, argumentative, defiant behavior, or a lot of vindictiveness.
Okay. There we go.
And she says, and that's why I believe this is where she has progressed from childhood.
Yeah.
Those types of behaviors. And she's been rewarded for most of the part, or not really had a consequence from behaving, or she doesn't really have a moral compass in order to realize that these are probably not appropriate actions. Like, it hasn't impacted her negatively enough. There's negative consequences around her. Like, she at the moment is having a negative consequence from having picked up that kitten, and she's feeling it.
Yeah.
But she's going to twist it in a way that she's not the root of the problem. Even though she is, because that would make her very uncomfortable, because that would mean that she'd actually have to reflect on her own actions and behaviors and the consequences of those. And somebody who dislikes authority, and as much as this person does, that's not going to fly. She thinks that anybody with authority, they shouldn't have authority over her. That's why she can't understand why she can't just do whatever the heck she wants with the cat. She thinks she should have the right to get out here and do whatever the heck she wants at any given time, and without regard to anybody or anything around her. She don't care. She's a really bad person, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's repeated. We see this so true. And as they become adults, they just have more disorders that come along with it.
Yeah.
And she has a whole slew of them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would never want to work with her.
Yeah. Me neither.
You could change this person. There's no learning. There's no growth. These people stay stunted often. See, look, here's herself here.
We're asking for donations for help.
See? I'm asking for donations for help. Well, Kuwait has really strict laws about that, Chantel. So if you don't like the fact that you can't e-beg in a country anymore, that's something that makes you upset and cry because you can't be an e-beggar in a country anymore? Really? That's why you're so upset? That's pretty pitiful, Chantel. What do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just boggles the mind that it's never her fault. It's never her fault.
It's never her fault. The disturbance of behavior is associated with distress in the individual or others in his or her immediate social context. I'm sure Salal's distressed. But she's never considered him. She's more like, wait till I say everything. Get out of my chat. She doesn't care anything as to how it could impact this other person, even if they aren't really in any type of real relationship, which they are not, in my opinion. She does not care.
I have no sympathy for Salah. Anything he gets, he deserves. This was all a scam.
Well, they're both scammers. They're both scammers. They're both pretty much getting what both of them. Now, Salah at least is a little better with the animals than she is.
Well, as far as you know, he kind of had some to me.
Well, at least he was trying to tell her not to take the cat.
Well, yeah.
He has at least a vague amount of common sense. I think when
Well,
she was in Canada, he was taking at least the cat to the vets and the groomers. At least the cat was getting some care, Julia. I think he does better than she does. Sorry, I have a lot of rain in my house. All right, Chantel, let's hear you cry it out. Then I have to go because I'm hungry. I have to move my him to 8 o'clock.
Freedom to say what I need
I gotta
to
get it done.
And now Salah's giving me shit. He's giving me trouble, yelling at me. I'm done. I'm done. I'm going home.
Yes. Well, you're going home if you can get a flight on a plane, Chantel.
He's yelling at me for speaking my mind.
Yeah. She's pretty dumb.
That's how it is. You get in
She's
trouble.
a pretty bad person.
Yeah, for speaking your mind. So I'm out.
She's very little, if any, redeemable qualities, cheekbones, I'm thinking at this point. I used to give her like a passing grace, but watching this video just kind of tells me everything I need to know about this person. And it's not very pleasant to say, because it really is a case of this individual really just thinking about only themselves at this moment in time and what they, and nothing about anything about why these laws are in place, impact on anything else. It's only about her. She doesn't even care about Julia in the moment. I would be panicked about my pets. The only thing she's like, I'm done. It's just like literally this is a game to her, and now she's done with the game.
Yeah.
Because now she can't win and be able just to sit around. I think she thought she was really going to do a great job raking in dollars, just asking for money for visas, whatever she can do to do as little work as possible and have as little responsibility as possible.
Yeah.
She doesn't want any responsibility. She doesn't want responsibility for her taxes in Canada. And now she doesn't want responsibility for the situation she created with this kitten in Kuwait. And so anybody who supports her through this, you're a really reprehensible human being. Really. These people that support her are pretty reprehensible.
There gotta be something. You ain't firing on all cylinders if you're in line with her. There's something not. Well,
they probably have oppositional sort of things. They want to be people who are going to go against what normal people would think was good behavior, and for whatever reason they are happy to prop this individual up. They feel a kindred spirit with her for whatever reason. I don't know why. She is
deviant behavior. I don't know.
Like I said, they somehow. I don't know if it's just proximity to somebody who's on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe just who knows? Who knows what people get?
Yeah,
I'd have to. Some of them are pretty.
I don't feel safe telling you the whole story right now while I'm here. So I'm leaving.
Lucas Ann comes in with some strange stuff.
One
of my Tim crossovers.
I'm trying to regroup so I can talk about it.
Regroup. Yeah, regroup just means Chantel trying to figure out what story she's going to tell.
Regroup.
That's a regroup for Chantel. Like, how am I going to spin the narrative here? That's
a good deed gets you investigated, right? Dude, because they listen to haters. That's why. They're insane.
I don't think that's what made the law in Kuwait, Chantel. I don't think the Kuwait government said, "Oh, there's all these haters on YouTube that hate this lady. Let's make a law about donations." There's probably, as somebody said, things around potential of fundraising for causes that Kuwait doesn't want money raised in their country for. So they're obviously, and like I said, things such as terrorism. There's other reasons why these countries don't want people just sending money like that through these apps.
Yeah.
You just don't understand, and you don't care to understand, and you take it as something personal. And that's the problem. Laws aren't made to be felt personally. They're there to protect the society at whole.
Well, but then the issue, she says, oh, they've called, it's the haters. It's, it's
Doesn't
nothing
matter
she's
who reported
done.
it.
It's people that hate her that has done it to her.
Well, Chantel, what if you hadn't actually gone out and done what you had done with the kitten, then you would not give people fuel to then send something about you.
Yeah.
So you're still, Chantel, you have to be responsible for your own actions. Which you would never take responsibility. It's always going to be somebody else's fault. Always.
Well, I was raised, my father, as you know, was retired military, and that's how we were raised. And my dad raised us with, but for the fact, if I was at a field party in high school and it got raided by the cop, if I was standing there doing nothing and I said, well, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing nothing, but for the fact you were where you were not supposed to be, none of this would have happened. Anything I ever did, if I got in trouble, it was but for the fact. And that's how we were raised. So it's applicable to her. But for the fact that you took this cat, none of this stuff would have happened. But she was never had that kind of raising. She was ignored and left with a mentally ill grandmother and then just ran wild. And then they just said, we're done with you. So, well, that's where it all stems from her childhood.
Well, as that happens, once you become an adult, you do have to take responsibility for your actions, regardless of how terrible your childhood was.
Yeah.
Or how lazy or terrible your raising was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still,
she by no means was abused. She was just ignored.
No, I'm just saying that now. As an adult, it's not cute to come up with excuses for behaviors.
Yeah, well, but that egg's cooked. That's why I really doubt if inpatient would have very much effect on her.
Oh, no therapist wants to work with this person, I promise you.
I'm sorry. I can't do it. I need to leave.
Ever. She's not.
I need to go home. Chantal, what I witnessed the other day was a maternal instant kick. I knew that was beautiful. Don't let anyone make you feel ashamed of that. Thank you, Nina.
Oh, whatever. Nina's an idiot.
We love you and we'll be here. I don't want to shame.
In my opinion, I shouldn't use that. But in my opinion, sorry. It's just it's.
I'm not even allowed to ask for donations. Apparently,
yes, that's what the law says, Chantel.
So, no.
Yes, Chantel, read the paper. There's things called newspapers online. Why don't you get your time off of TikTok and actually read something about what's happening in that country before you act all surprised and shocked.
She just said, I'm not allowed to ask for donations to help me go home.
No, you're not, because Kuwait imposes ban on all donations, Chantel. So that would be a charitable donation to you to get home.
Well, she was just bragging.
Burying yourself even further, girl.
Was she just bragging that they had 10,000 in savings? What do you need to get home? You've got this money banked with your, Vandalay Fragrance Empire mogul husband. Why you gotta have?
Well, I don't know if he's going to release those funds to her now. Maybe the deal gets, quashed, and she just needs to get out. And he can hold that money. He doesn't have anything. She's the one in the predicament more than he is. She don't have any family. There's no one protecting Chantel out there. So last trying to at least tell her to get off of the live.
Yeah.
But she's too defiant and too headstrong to listen to even that. Come on, Chantel, finish it out. I need to get to him.
This life isn't for me. No, Deb, I felt something was up because I messaged them and they said they were going to help. I sent them all the information. I sent them the pictures of the cats and everything. And then they didn't answer me for a whole day, because I said, do you accept PayPal donations? Because on their very own page, they say, we need help, with this and that and that. So I thought I was just helping. I'm scamming how?
Chantel, you know exactly how. Don't try to play this face.
You're scamming because you got $700. I'm being nice. You spent 50 of it. I don't
Right.
care when you get the rest of your money, next month, whatever.
Chantel,
But-
your whole entire persona is being a scam artist. That's who you are. That's your DNA. That's how you run, girl. That's my
She should have
thought.
went and charged back all those super chats and whatever
Doesn't
money
matter.
she spent,
It
showed a
doesn't- they-
receipt
she can
and
return all that
refunded or
money now. They don't
donated the
care,
rest.
right?
So
I think, she is, if somebody really doesn't care for her out there and this law exists, then if anything, this is Talah's opportunity to get her in trouble.
yeah. Bro better jump on it. I'm telling you.
I mean, I think she's obviously looking for flights at the moment. Does she got a seat? Because it's a busy period. It's Mecca's happening. That's a really tough time to probably find a flight.
Like what? Like I received like $70.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the quantity, Chantel. $70, doesn't matter. Not from this law.
Mm-mm.
This is pretty tough.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, violators will face full legal accountability regardless of their intentions. It's pretty, and they've taken a man. That's somebody who leads the Muslim church. Girl, they have so much evidence. They have a reason to deport you from the country at this point, which would probably be what probably would most likely happen. But I think if you would be responsible for the payment of that deportation.
Or pay the fine and get out.
Right. They're going to deport her. She will not be allowed back in Kuwait, from what I can understand. That's how they treat foreigners. You get deported. I'm sorry. It'd be the same in the United States. If you're from another country, you break a law here and they deport you, you're going to be not allowed back into the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's getting the sinking realization that her party in Kuwait has come to an end.
PayPal, and I used like 50 or more.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Why do you keep talking about your donation? Now, well, Chantel, now you're making your situation worse. Don't you understand? Because now you're confirming everything. It doesn't matter $50 donation. You just admitted you took donations online. They have a complete ban in Kuwait on that, regardless of the intent. Doesn't matter. They don't care if you think it was a cute cat. I promise you. These countries don't care. You're going to have a big amount of money. You better hope that $10,000 is there for a bribe, girl.
Anyway, do what you want. I'm done.
Yeah,
I offered to send them what I had from PayPal left to them to help. And they're like, we're investigating. Okay. I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here. I'm not dealing. I'm like, I don't have to live my life this way. I don't have
live her life this way, meaning I don't have to face consequences. That's pretty much
Or that I can no longer grift for money. I mean,
well, no, she's going to be, if she gets out of there and back in Canada, the grift is going to be hard. She just can't grift in Kuwait.
well, but like I said before, if they go back to all those, you need to pay me.
Yeah, but once she's out of
Canada,
once she's out of Kuwait, it doesn't matter. She'll just be blacklisted and won't be able to have a return. That's it.
If they hit her with the fines, though,
yeah,
and
but
they
if
go
she's
back,
managed to get herself on a plane,
yeah,
then they're not going to be able to do anything but blacklist her.
Yeah.
That's what would be the consequence of that. If she's not been able to get on a plane and they do come and she's going to try to get out, but then they might actually seize her passport.
Yeah.
Which they have every right to do.
Yeah.
Because you can't go to another country and break laws and assume that you're going to be able to get out scot-free because you carry another passport. If you think that's the case, then more fool you. You shouldn't travel. Should not travel then, if that's your thought.
Yeah.
No other person, no, you're not special because you come from Canada or US or England or anything. It doesn't make you special.
Yeah.
I have to. No.
Look at her crying because she actually might have to.
Yeah, I'm going to keep talking more, so keep messaging me. Keep doing it.
Me too, Catherine.
No, I'm going home soon.
I think it's even more poetic than scamming with a kitten.
Yeah.
I don't like people who scam on the internet. I really do dislike these folks. I just think the e-begging and this stuff has just gotten so toxic. And she's one of the worst. So anybody who feels sympathy for this person, I'm curious as to what your rationale would be. Because I feel very little sympathy or empathy for this person.
Well, if she's looking for sympathy, she can find that in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. Because she
I mean, it's really hard, isn't it? It's really hard to feel it looking at it as the perspective as an adult and watching somebody try to, will just literally, dispose of this cat, because that's what's going to happen. That's why I have no sympathy for this person.
No.
Not once has she mentioned anything about, Julia. She's not thought about anything. She is a selfish, entitled, horrendous human being. She really is. And it just pains me sometimes that she has these people in her audience who kiss up to her. But that's what these people
Nicole, my heart is breaking because I know you have love in your heart. Now that we care and see yourself. Thank you, Nicole. I'm so sorry they did that to you, doxing you over an internet thing. So you people who are insane, never have the right.
Shush. Stop trying to twist it to this other woman, okay? She went out perfectly out as an adult and made the decision to call out other people in defense of you. Probably
she
not
doxed
very
herself. She's got she had a YouTube channel. She doxed herself.
Right,
and
exactly.
That woman's got squirrels in her attic. I'm sorry, but she ain't on a level playing field.
She really wasn't. I saw it. I was like, oh gosh. Well, it was not a surprise for me. That would be a Chantel supporter.
No. I mean,
right to say
none of us
over here are vile because we don't
she's already taken her channel
doxing
down.
people. Discombobulated in the Western world, used to seeing any animal in need on the streets and helping you did what Allah wanted you to do. You are too sweet and kind. The bees love you for that. Thank you. Thank you, Discombobulated. Thank you. I know, for them treating me like I'm some criminal scammer when I'm trying to help.
No, Chantel, you're not trying to help anybody.
You weren't trying to help.
The only person you're trying to help, Chantel, was yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. You weren't really trying to help that cat.
No.
Don't even try to lie about it. It's really not fun to see.
No.
I mean, it is. It's fun for us to see it because it's so obvious. But I guess somebody bought it. I don't know. Keep going, Chantal. I gotta get going. I'm hungry.
There's proof of them not wanting their donations
my dog wants
back.
dinner.
Exactly.
There's a storm going.
I have proof on my PayPal for
I know. I hate that hard.
And I spent a big chunk of that on taking the kid to the vet. I have the antibiotics.
I think anybody past the age of 15 who does that heart thing, please, come on. That little heart. Come on. Her and Amberlynn. That kills me. What grown adult does that stuff? Come on.
What Pulpy calls it is just funny. Anyway, I thought about that.
Oh, does he say something about that too? It's ridiculous. What is it?
Yeah. It's funny.
It's like the badge of scam.
Such BS, man.
Yes, such BS.
I got dogs last year, but they got my legal. These people are sick. This is what I'm jaded against. I hate people.
This is the part where they start like just having this idea of the argumentative, defiant behavior. She's just going to blame others, blaming others.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's part of that oppositional defiance. It's blaming others. Everybody is at fault but Chantal. She's just a good human trying to do good things for animals. That's all she is. How can anybody misinterpret somebody who cares so deeply?
Oh, Lord.
How?
Catherine, you're so funny. Gosh.
Oh, it's Catherine saying some funny stuff.
Troll club.
Nigel again. Catherine is funny. Look at the face here. Contemplating.
I put the cap back because I was forced to.
Oh, forced to.
But it doesn't matter if she kept the kitten or didn't kept the kitten. That wasn't the problem. She grifted.
No.
That was the problem.
Even before the kitten, her asking for those food donations was already a problem.
Yeah.
Her Kuwait law. I assume she thinks because she's Canadian, the laws of Kuwait do not apply to her. That's the only thing I can think, because I can't understand how she does not assume the laws of that country do not apply to her.
Well, because she's Canadian. She's got that Canadian golden ticket passport, I guess. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, that works well when you live in Canada.
Well,
as a Canadian. But when you're in a place like Kuwait or another country that probably, doesn't necessarily have all these like agreements for stuff about things.
A hall pass for it, if you're like that Johnny Somalia. I mean, we're not doing nothing to get him back. I mean, he did that stuff and he needs to pay the consequences.
Oh, is that the one sitting out in Korea?
Yeah.
Yeah. He just needs to stay and pay his consequences in Korea.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Maybe you shouldn't be breaking laws in Korea.
Yeah. I mean, or breaking laws in Kuwait, or
right.
You don't need to be doing that.
Like I said, Chantel, that's not international diplomatic space in your apartment over there. Yeah. It's just Kuwait. You're not a part of the Canadian embassy.
We were forced to.
We were forced to.
I begged not to.
Well, I don't know where you thought that was going to get you less out of this predicament. Her predicament being she needs to pack up and leave as soon as possible and hope there is a flight available. And if she has to go through Germany, oh well.
But was it Lufthansa or whatever?
She's going to have to take Lufthansa, which actually is a really nice airline. Actually, KLM or Lufthansa. German airlines are awesome.
My husband used to fly them, I think when he would go to Italy. Seems like that's who he flew.
Yeah, I definitely would rather fly them than Air Italia. I don't even know if they exist anymore. But I would definitely drive like Lufthansa or KLM. They are good airlines.
Yeah.
Comparatively, But, Chantel wasn't treated with royal treatment in Frankfurt. They treated her like a normal person.
It made her walk.
She don't want to be walking.
No, I need to, I can't. No, I haven't booked a flight.
Yeah. She hasn't booked a flight. She said she hadn't booked a flight?
No, but I don't understand all the ins and outs, but she has to have a return ticket. I don't know if it's just some kind of open ticket but she's a tourist. She has to, and I would assume as a tourist, you would have to have
open tickets are expensive.
Yeah.
She would have had to pay money for
Canada, an open-ended ticket back to Canada because she's a tourist, but I don't know enough about it. But she has to have a ticket to get out of there as a tourist.
But but like I said, they probably have to have a certain amount of time to book that flight. You can't just, if you're going to do an immediate leave, then you're probably going to have to pay the extra premium.
Yeah.
Especially if, you're not going to be able to get that type of service on a, $200 ticket or whatever. I mean, obviously it wasn't that low, but not on just your basic return. There might be restrictions on it.
Oh, could be.
I mean,
Could
that's
be.
what I'm saying. I mean, unless you're prepared to pay the additional cost. Or she
You're
would.
beautiful, Nicole. Have you seen what most of them look like?
Oh, for goodness sake, Chantel. Stop trying to attack people's looks. Okay.
Please. I'm leaving. Yep. I'm not dealing with this stuff. No way. Getting in legal trouble for helping a kitten? No. Sorry.
No, sorry.
Sorry, no can do. No, you don't get to tell me off for that one. I don't
Yeah.
care if Kuwait imposes ban on all donations through online platforms.
Sorry.
I don't care. Doesn't apply to me.
Sorry.
This world is such a messed up place. Why can't I just run around and blame others and be as socially awkward as I want to be at all times?
I hate people.
They're so mean to me. I do everything right. I do everything right and good, and this is what I get.
I'm Snow White. I was just helping the animals. Yeah.
She is Saint Francis of Kuwait.
Yeah.
She is the person who just has kindness of the care of the animals. It's all about the animals.
Yeah, like I will not go to jail.
Yeah. I'm not going to go to jail for my
Going to jail.
How dare they tell me they don't allow that stuff? I was just trying to help.
I don't care if I have to live on the street in Canada. I'm going to do it.
Okay, girl. Well, I think that actually would be your best content.
Jessica, I just don't feel like I can talk about it much, really.
I guess that was her, like, was that
sympathy? I know where the embassy is.
I guess I was just going to have to get
Anyway, I don't even want ice cream.
Get to live on the streets. Is that us pulling at our heartstrings that, oh no.
Oh, that's just setting up a future grip when she gets to Canada.
Yes. I think that's what it was. Oh, yeah. Chantel, I didn't think I'd have to bring him out right at the end, but I'm going to have to.
No. I simply asked. I said, I wish I could have that dry bacon. Well, I mean, you know what that is.
Yes, it is. And I'm going to have to go to 8:30, I think, for Tim tonight, because I definitely going to need at least I know. It's okay. We're going to be commiserating for 6 years of Sarasota Tim on YouTube tonight.
Well, I'm going to try to catch it. But I've been doing yard work, and I'm about ready for the boneyard. I ain't going to lie about it.
I don't know if he's as defiant as Chantel, but he's pretty defiant most of the time, too. Tim is... Oh, you should have heard him complaining about chewing his raw steak. It was great. Oh, and then he said something about... Somebody said that he said something about he used to claim Tim dependents on his W-2s for his taxes. Tim don't have 10 kids. He's so
anything.
Here we go. Look at her.
Man, them filters. Jump. Ooh.
He's actually fine. Chantel's having tears for herself.
Mm-hmm.
The only person that she cares about in this moment in time is herself.
Call a wambulance.
Yep, it's a wambulance. She don't care about anything else. She's not caring about anything. She is having to face a harsh reality that she probably is having to go back to Canada now, that her shenanigans in Kuwait are not going to fly anymore. She is starting to be like Icarus and flying too close to the sun.
Yep.
And her wings are melting.
Woe is me.
Did somebody say something funny there?
Sam was like, woe is me, waterworks. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think at this point, when you see a grown adult having tears because of their own actions, and it's obviously, I don't have a great deal of sympathy for Chantel because she tried to use that cat as a prop to gain a financial reward for herself. And now she's actually having to face the consequences of what she did. because she was pretty happy, smiling and thinking she was grifting every one of her pieces out of money for that cat.
Yeah. Well, she's crying out of frustration that she can't control.
Crying for herself.
Yeah.
So the only person she's crying for is Chantel, because now she might have to go home to Canada and face paying those taxes she owes.
Well, I
what
wonder
is she gonna do?
That bankruptcy she's paying off, is she locked in that she has to pay that $1,700 a month? Or
I don't know.
I don't know anything about it. I ain't never.
She has a bankruptcy and she owes taxes, correct?
Oh yeah, she's not paying on them back taxes,
right?
And they're just that meter's
But there's
ticking.
a certain point where in Canada, if you don't address it, they will finally throw the book at you, and then they really throw the book at you, from what I gather. Like they're super nice to you until they're not.
Yeah,
and she's probably getting to the time where they're not going to be so good to her about it.
No.
So she's the looming thought of her actually having to return home and really have to face what she has to face in Canada.
Yeah. This is going to be
she
good.
Knows
girl.
that her family isn't going to come to her rescue like that. She's a 40-some-year-old woman. Most families shouldn't be coming to your rescue unless you're being falsely accused of something, No.
Are you kidding? My parents had left me over there. They'd have changed their number.
Oh, yeah. My mom would be like, and my dad, I also had a military family. Oh, well, it seems like you made your bed. Yeah. You better lie in it. Sort it out. They're not going to be pulling you out of this stuff. That's not what adults do. You just deal with it, whether it's ugly or not, and especially if it's of your own making.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just what, and if you're at this age and you're still doing behaviors that are going to get you in this much trouble, it's saying a lot about your personality traits, Most of us at this time should be fairly more reasonable. Hopefully.
Yeah.
The makeup.
I'm going to get off and talk to Salah. I'll just see you guys later.
Well, thank you. And thank you to Loony Tubes for having captured all of that for us. Okay, well, I'm going to let you say the last things. I'm going to finish out because I'm going to have to move my Tim live stream real fast.
It's been great. I've had a lot of fun, and chat's wonderful. And just don't be Chantal. There you go.
Please don't be Chantal.
Don't be Chantal.
Please don't be Chantal. It's been awesome, Cheekbones. I'm so glad we got together again with all this drama. We're going to have to keep up with this story.
Yes, I know. I love it. I get to live vicariously through your channel. I love it.
Oh, I love having the extra person. I think it's so much more fun to have a reaction channel with two of us reacting at one time. I think that's so much more fun.
Yes,
because it's something unique, I think, to Girl World to have two of us out here.
Yeah,
reacting, because it's usually single reactions. So look at all the specialness, guys, we give you.
Yeah, two military brats that work in healthcare.
That's right. That's probably why we feel the way we do about how she behaves, because we were not allowed to have the shenanigans.
Absolutely. No shenanigans.
Zero shenanigans allowed. You better make sure that you were behaving yourselves. Well, everybody, it was been absolutely fun. I'm going to take at least an hour's break so I can get myself and Junebug a spot of dinner and prepare myself for Tim, because I don't even think I've done this thumbnail yet.
Well, you enjoy your dinner, and I hope everybody has a good evening and a good rest of their weekend.
And I cannot wait to see what happens, how she appears to us next, and what stories she will have.
I know.
She's going to be angry. And I think that oppositional defiant disorder, I know there's that thought that it does not cross to adults, but yes, it very much does.
Well,
so that's a misconception. I think people don't understand its course of development will start in childhood and adolescence. So somebody who has this disorder is not going to suddenly have it as an adult. They would have been showing these traits throughout their lifetime. I think but it doesn't disappear once the person is an adult, unless they've been through some really good therapy.
Well, she's been tilling that garden since she was a child. I'm just saying.
Right, exactly. And so, and when we talked about the fact that there's all those other comorbidities like the anxiety, the major depressive disorder, all the other sort of mental health comorbidities that would go along with it, it seems to make a lot of sense with Chantal.
Yeah.
In my educational guesstimation.
And I second you on that as a non mental health care professional.
That's okay. Like I said, I think registered dietitians deal with a lot more mental health than you probably give yourselves credit for.
You got that right.
Absolutely. I think that's probably what brought me into mental health is it's such an important piece of getting that medical piece right a lot of times with patients.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but it's been fantastic. I can't wait for us to follow up with this drama.
Yes.
It is drama. And
Yeah,
I know I sounded harsh on Chantel, but she does need that somebody not giving her any grace. And I am happy to be that person.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
Mental health does not mean that we just think everybody should get away with stuff.
No.
It also means that these people should take more responsibility for their mental health. And she definitely does need to.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, it's been fun. And we'll see you on the next one.
Toodles.
Make sure you like the stream before you leave it, guys. Bye.